Hello everybody, here we are once again for another live show. Hope you enjoy. It is Friday already. Incredible. Time flies. I had the impression that it was, Monday and suddenly it's Friday. I guess that's nice. And looking at everything is all right. Hello everyone, welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave Radio show. Every Fridays at 2000 hours Universal Time, we're here. We talk about radio. And of course, it's mostly shortwave, but we will have tracking of the International Space Station, because at least twice during the show we'll decode live slow scan TV pictures. So we'll see. And it is not 21, it is 2000 hours Universal Time. And not 21. Yeah, I will not fix our computer, and with my CRI jacket over, I thought, why not put the jacket? This China Radio International jacket. So, yeah, Nicolas, it's 2000 hours UTC, not 21 right now. Remember, the time change has changed our reference to Universal Time. So, this show is every Friday, it's 2000 UTC. We talk about radio, shortwave radio. We'll have a little VHF moment here with decoding the International Space Station slow scan TV signals. And no, it's not voice, it's slow scan TV pictures that it's sending. Although if you listen to the regular channels of the International Space Station, there could be some voice. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We are here to entertain, to have fun, to talk about radio, and to just forget about the rest of the world for a little while. How about it? Forget about the world for a little while and just have fun with our hobby. I always say it, this is a solitary hobby. We usually are alone in our little rooms. We look like gremlins. We look like weird people that seem to be disconnected from real life, when in fact shortwave listeners are usually even more connected to life than the average person that listens to their local news outlet. But we're here to have fun and just hopefully have some great times. We'll tune in the shortwave bands together. Got some questions, and I think we're gonna and of course I got my 6-pack of beer. So I've got my don de Dieu, or the gift from God, and beer is truly a gift from God, I can tell you that. So cheers everybody. This is a 9% Belgian ale. So it's pretty strong, but it doesn't taste strong. It actually tastes much, very, very sweet compared to high percentage ale. So cheers everybody. And let's say hello to everybody in the chat room, because there's a nice chat room, by the way. If you want to join in and talk with everybody, there's a super cool chat room where people are just great and really a lot of fun. People are chatting away in their chat room, and they just have a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. So let's say hello to Manny CV. Hello there. Jan Nicholas Lawrence from Germany. Hello, welcome aboard. And by the way, if you're new or don't come here often, why not mention where you are from? It's always nice to see and know where everybody is. Yeah, chat room arguing about UTC versus GMT, which is pretty much the same thing. NL13851, hey there, nice to have you here. PA1 SVM Alex, nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Bobby Burgess, hello there. Handy Cowley, nice to have you here. Mick H, nice to have you on board. Radioactive, hello there. Gaza East Anglia, nice to have you here. Nicholas Hughes, nice to have you on board. Jacob Felder, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. And we have Zon. Hello there. Matt UK. Hello there. Nice to have you here. Chris Freitas. Nice to have you on board. Richard Cook from the UK. JD Williamson. Nice to have you here. Rock Ristorante from Sweden. And he's representing both Sweden and Finland, he says. Ah, okay. And is there a special occasion why you want to represent Sweden and Finland at the same time? Risto is SM0SBT is the call sign, amateur call sign. Steve and Maxine in Australia. Hey there, nice to have you here. It's a very beautiful day outside right now. And we gotta, I took a 2-hour walk before I do the live show here, by the way, because it's gonna be pretty much hail all weekend. It's gonna start with like rain, and then some snow, and then lots of winds, and then it's gonna be like a mix of snow, sleet, freezing rain, and they're not totally sure how much snow versus how much freezing rain, how much it's it's gonna downpour really a lot. Apparently, it's a really big storm coming our way. So this weekend is gonna be radio weekend, probably. It's gonna be perfect to listen to the radio and just stay indoors. It's gonna be horrible, and we kind of really have enough of this because it's supposed to be like 12 Celsius on average during the day at this time of year, which is like in the 50s. And we barely make above 0 in the past month. It's crazy. Barely make above 32 Fahrenheit. Today is not bad. It's like 10. If I look at my thermometer here, it says 13 here. It might be in the sunshine though. But it's beautiful. I took a 2-hour walk listening to my favorite music. And of course, I went to get a beer. And it was really beautiful. It's kind of, you look at that and it's like, wow, I can't believe it's going to be, wetter hell this weekend. Dan805, nice to have you on board. PLF Radio from France. Gordon Treadwell, nice to have you here. VE6GPT, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Zach Antle, nice to have you on board. William Helms from Florida. David Arden, hey, nice to have you here. Vianney Arsenault from the Gaspésie area. It is Friday the 13th today. Anything can happen, who knows. Hi Mapper from Moscow. Calvin, nice to have you here. Judd Simon, nice to have you on board. KM4UBR from the Jersey Shore. What else do we have? Anybody? Daniel Walsh, nice to have you here from New York City. What else is there? Gordon Treadwell is looking for frequencies and times basically when HAARP starts during the day evening. We don't really know in advance most of the time, so the best is to follow CT Fallen. If somebody can share the Twitter handle of CT Fallen, Charlie Tango Foxtrot Alpha Lima Echo November, CT Fallen on Twitter. You will actually know when it starts. We usually have the information only a few minutes before it is actually given on the air. They're going on with HAARP till tomorrow, so it's still a couple of days left. I've heard them a few times throughout the week, but that's where you'll get all the information. Bobby Burgess is WA at 5107 SWL from Morgan City, Louisiana. Glenn Goodell, hello there. TOT, going back the list now again. What else do we have? Did I miss anybody? Going down the list to say hello to everyone. We have Free Saxon. Nice to have you here from North Wales, Britain. Pretty cool. And a radioactivist from Oregon. Dax Farrer, hello there from Germany. Calvin is Cork, Ireland. iMapper says, first time I received the International Space Station signal accidentally in wood near Moscow on rubber duck antenna on the ICOM R5. Was so excited. First time I heard satellite is pretty much like that. I stumbled. I'm the guy that likes to scan tons and tons of frequencies all the time on his scanners. And when I was very active in the scanner radio, I would scan all the time VHF, UHF ranges. And one day I stumbled across a little ping ping signal that I didn't have no idea what it was. It was kind of a ping 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 signal, and I was like, what the hell is that? I looked at the frequency. I was on 137 megahertz, and I listened to it. It faded in and out, and then it disappeared after about something like 10 minutes, and it stayed like that. And I stumbled across the same signal about 90 minutes later. And I was like, hey, look at that, it's there again. Because I was always scanning there now because there was this weird signal. And when I started listening to satellites and all of that on the scanner radios, there was no internet. And there was an article, a few months later, there was an article in Monitoring Times monitoring, it was like monitoring and identifying satellites in orbit. And that's when I saw a list of frequencies, and I said, okay, that's the frequency for satellites. So I was listening to a satellite. And later on learned that the ping, ping, ping sound I heard was a NOAA weather satellite at the 137 megahertz range. It was kind of cool. It's kind of cool. What Belgian beer? Well, actually, it's a brewery, a Quebec brewery. So it's made here in the province of Quebec, but it is made like a Belgian ale-style beer with very strong, and it's very strong 9% beer. So if I drink all my six-pack, I did it once when I did a show. I remember a couple of months back. I did the show. I drank 3 beers during the show, and I had the 3 other ones. And I started listening to Shortwave after the show, and I drank all 6-pack. And I can tell you one thing: 1 6-pack of this 9% beer equals a headache in the morning. So I stay at 3 now that and I keep the other 3 for the next shows. Nuridun Mazari, bonsoir d'Algérie, bonsoir du Québec et du Canada. Always nice to have you on board. So, did you bring a radio? Trying to get why that question, Calvin. I missed something here. So, Radioactive says it's either radio listening weekend or internet repair weekend. Yeah. The worst is I noticed that my antenna in the backyard, my sloper, has moved. So my sloper is every time I look at the backyard, I see my sloper antenna at a certain angle and a certain. So when I'm from the window, I know it's about 6 inches from the border of the metal shed because it passes over it. And I think it was Thursday. I look out and I'm like, what the hell? My sloper is completely at the corner of the metal shed, and it was touching it also. And I was like, I went to look back, and I saw that at the bottom part where the fence is, I put a plastic broom stick that's with metal collars that I actually clamped to the fence down, and instead of being straight, it was bending like this. So after all the wind of the winter time and the sleet, the rain and everything, it actually moved. So I went back down. There's no more snow in the backyard, so I went back down, and I straightened it back up so that it's pointing like before. And at the same time, I quickly, and it's very, very quick job, I looked at the coax, and I noticed that there was one spot where actually the door shuts on it all the time, because the coax for VHF, UHF, and for the shortwave bands here passes under the door. So if you open and close the door, and I do that often because when Paul the cat wants to go out, I typically open the door in the back, and close it. So I open it and close it maybe 10 times a day. So I noticed that where under the door the coax for VHF, UHF was not the same. I could see it had more flexibility. I said, okay, it's broken somewhere there. So I did a very quick job. I just cut it cut 2 parts there, and I just put it very quickly together. It's not a nice job, but it was, you know, it's like, okay, it's going to be my temporary, you know, coax fix until I fix it really well, and it enables me to listen to the International Space Station, and that's all that we want. So anyways, so that's it. It's Canadian beer, but it's a Belgian ale style. So this is the bottle, what it looks like. Very good, but it's not Belgian. I do have a Belgian pack there, which had Fastlow gave me as a gift that I haven't opened up yet, which is the Brasserie Lefebvre, and it's a box with 8 bottles, different types of bottles, and the box is called Half a Meter of Beer. So it's just funny. That one is Belgian, and I need to test it out because there's some good beers in there. David Arden, 25 Celsius, sunny Atlanta. Wow, that is perfect weather for going outside and listen to the radio, honestly. Okay, what else? Brett Wayne, 76 Fahrenheit, Salamanca, New York. Wow, KC2NXP, pretty cool. And it's nice. David Williamson, nice to have you on board. Nicolas Hughes says, I thought HAARP stopped transmitting years ago. HAARP has, what happened with HAARP is that it was owned by and operated by the U.S. government. I think it was the U.S., or was it the U.S., a mix of the U.S. Navy and or Air Force, or I'm trying to remember which one. And what happened is the government stopped giving the money, and so it had stopped transmitting. But the University of Alaska finally purchased everything and are using it for their geophysics testings of all sorts. So it's back on thanks to the University of Alaska. So TOT says, hey Jill, what are you up to on Friday? Talk about shortwave, pretty much. DX, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. PA1WX from the Netherlands also. Stephen Gibson, nice to have you on board. Stephen and Vicky in Scotland. And DX the cat is going well. He's sleeping in the bedroom right now. Thanks, Judd Simon, for helping us putting the link for CT Fallen for Twitter. Even Tinny, nice to have you here from East Texas. Pretty cool. Syrian Willow, hello there. Nice to have you on board. And pretty interesting. So oh, don't worry, David Williamson. If I drink a 6-pack during the show, you will have a show. But I can't guarantee what the ending of the show is going to look like. Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you on board from Greenfield Park, Quebec. Nice to have everybody here. PLF says, a few days ago I heard Rostov Volmet on 11297 kilohertz per Sideman for the first time. Cool, that is nice. I never heard it. I'd like to hear that for sure. Richard Cook says there's a German Volmet on 6180. Yeah, I saw that post the other day. I don't know if it's you that posted it also. Kind of weird. 6180 in the 49 meter band. Kind of weird. Dan805, hello there. Voice of Korea, 9425. What else do we have? And Richard Cook says, interesting, 9425 targeted to Europe for Voice of Korea. Bill Mead, watching today via a brand new router. I may be sucking down more than my fair share of bandwidth. That's quite alright. The internet's made for that. Or maybe not. I use my fair share of bandwidth. I have unlimited bandwidth, but sometimes I go and look at my internet service provider's information, and I use around between 500 and 700 gigabytes a month. And the funny part of that is that I am the total reverse of regular internet users. I send more than I receive. You know, an internet user in general, and everybody, is you receive all the time, and you don't send much. But with the YouTube stuff that I do, I'm at the other end. I send and 600 gigabytes on a month. Probably 400 of it is what I sent, and 200 gigabytes is what I received. I'm the total reverse of everybody on that. So that's why I need fast internet access for my live shows. So we are almost here for the International Space Station. We're going to try to decode the slow scan TV pictures. So I have I hooked up the desktop, and I fired up the MMSSTV software that we'll be looking at here. Let's make it bigger here. We are going to put this here, so the static, put a little higher. Let's so we'll try to tune in anything from the International Space Station. It should be sending slow scan TV pictures, so we'll see what we can hear. I didn't look at how high the pass is going. So if I look at the pass right now, this one is a 27-degree pass, so it's very low. I don't expect, usually when it's below 30 degrees, I don't necessarily get very good pictures. But there's the next one at 2200 UTC, and we'll still be live. That one is a 60-degree pass. That one's going to be really good. But you know, even at 27 degrees, we're going to try it out, of course, and try to decode anything that could be there. So try to see if we get any signs of slow scan TV. Hopefully they haven't shut it off just for the, you know, just for the heck of it. I hear it. It's very weak right now, but I hear it. It's coming. KC2JLI, nice to have you on board. Out on the beach with a laptop. That is so cool. So look at that. Not super strong, but it's there. We'll probably get... we'll see if we can get another picture. So what you hear there is a slow scan television signal. 145.800 in the VHF range is where you listen to the International Space Station sending this. It's the amateur radio station aboard the International Space Station that is crossing above Montreal right now. So the picture isn't super beautiful because the pass is a very low pass, so it kind of signal's getting better. So that's the last part of the picture. Let's cross our fingers that we actually can get something. It's getting closer, so I'm hoping that the next picture might actually be quite nice. So let's cross our fingers that the next picture is more interesting to look at. Juan Amigo, hello there from Barcelona, nice to have you here. Radio Hobbyist says, are you upgrading to 4K video? Not for now, for sure. But once I get the new laptop, I'm thinking of a new camera, which will be capable of 4K. So we'll see what I'm going to do, but I don't think that my outboard bandwidth is maybe, I don't know, I have 20 megabits up, which might be enough for sending 4K, but it's going to clog my internet. PLF Radio, yes, I use Orbitron, which is the software I'm using to track the International Space Station, but I also use Heavens Above on my phone that actually gives me all the amateur satellites and the International Space Station. So Heavens Above on the Android side, and I use Orbitron on the PC side. If you're on Linux, there's gpredict that is free. gpredict you can also use. And so nice to have you. Nice to have you on board. Ralph Bender, hello there. Nice to have you here. MDK2, Colin 2, nice to have you here from Sheffield, England. MDK2, the ISS antenna is a directional. There we go. Wow, have you seen that beautiful decode? It's one of the best decodes I've had. Wow, so clean. And it's, I mean, the International Space Station is super low, passing up north. It's passing north of me. Wow, what a clean signal. And I'm just using a mobile vertical on the metal shed in the backyard. Imagine, guys. This is just great. Wow. And it's Intercosmos 40th years. So this is another one I didn't have. This is, so on the bottom right you see Series 9, picture 10 of 12. So you get a cycle of pictures. This is beautiful. Wow. I am amazed. I am totally amazed at the quality of this picture. Wow. So from what I know, they're using kind of a 2-meter Yagi that's kind of pointed at Earth or something. I believe I saw somewhere it was like a 2-meter Yagi antenna that's outboard the International Space Station. LN321, hello there. Nice to have you on board. Thank you. Two Hands on the Radio. Hello, and nice to have you here. So sorry, but this is so cool. This is so cool. Really, really nice. So decoding, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, I didn't talk during the sound during this SSTV, because if you guys could hear it well, you probably were able to decode just from the feed. Maybe, I don't know if it went out well through the feed. So it's pretty cool. Naxelnik VRP, nice to have you here from Poland. Pretty cool. Eric VA2MO, nice to have you here, and is listening for the International Space Station. That's cool. That is really cool. Yeah, look at that. It started again, but now it's very weak. It's almost impossible to hear. It's gone pretty far to the east here. So hey, that was the best decode ever for a picture. Very, very nice. I mean, wow, beautiful. And RS0ISS is the official call sign of the International Space Station amateur station. So next pass is at 6 p.m. local, 2200 UTC. We're going to try again at 2200 UTC, but wow, beautiful decode. I am totally amazed at how beautiful this one came out. I was hoping so much that it would not fade out at some point. That's the biggest problem when you listen to the International Space Station or any satellite, is the fade in and out that it does. And this one was just great. Wow. Super positioning. Man, I love it. I'm all, you know, you guys see that I'm a radio guy. I'm all hyped up now. Just had a lot of fun here, and just so cool. So cool. So, yeah, line of sight signal. Pretty amazing. Pretty crazy. Frequency is 145.800, but you have to have the International Space Station needs to pass over where you are at some point in order to listen to it. So, Ralph Bender, don't talk on decoding. That's exactly why I did not talk. So it worked, radioactive. Cool. So, Syrian Willow, it's a digital mode. Slow scan TV is a digital mode, but that is basically transformed into analog sounds on an FM signal here, and the analog sounds of that picture are decoded by the software and puts it back in a picture. So pretty amazing. So this is amazing. This is beautiful. I mean, this is one of the best. This is one of the best decoding of a picture from the slow scan from the ISS I've had, and I have a few that are very clear like this one, but you know, even the ones I had this week were nice, but not as this one's really clean, really amazing. So yeah, for those that are wondering, the only thing is that this is out of the range of most shortwave radios, unfortunately, because we're that was a VHF decode. You know, it would have been nice to do this on the VHF UHF night instead of the shortwave night, but anyways, you know, it's kind of cool. It's really a lot of fun. If you have a directional signal, you'll have a even better signal from the International Space Station. So it's really crazy. So yes, you know, directional or not, you can receive them. My antenna is omnidirectional. It's a vertical. It's a mobile vertical. It's not directional at all. But you know what? It receives well on the horizontal, on the edges. So maybe that's why this signal is so good, because the International Space Station actually passed really low up north here. And my antenna is in that direction. Because it's low, it probably helped in decoding this signal very well. When it's very when the satellites move right above me, usually I have a moment where I lose them, because a vertical antenna is not good straight up. It's good for horizontal listening, you know. The receiver is a Nikon ICR 8500. Yes, Greg Helfel, nice to have you here. Efron. Greg Efron. So pretty nice. Arrow antenna, Luis Arevalo. Is that what they have on the space station, or is but it's pretty cool. Yeah, I need to ask him for a QSL. Absolutely, I would like to have one from the International Space Station. Actually, absolutely. You know, it's just crazy. Mark Carson, nice to have you here. KM6NHH, Northern California here. Fresh from an SSTV poll myself. Got the end of both images on my pass. Yeah, it's the only problem is depending on when the pass is. Sometimes you just get, you know, like half of the last one and half of the other one, or it's not always, you know, it's not always. It is very clean. I am amazed. I'm still amazed at that signal. So Sheldon Harvey says, heard the same ISS signal here at home on a dual band vertical antenna and his TM241A Kenwood 2-meter transceiver. Didn't have decoding software available, but signal was very strong. It is very strong. It's super easy to receive the International Space Station. One of the things that a lot of people think is you need fancy equipment. Honestly, I probably could go outside with just a portable scanner and a rubber duck antenna and still decode from the International Space Station, because it is very strong, honestly. There's a Doppler shift you got to account for, so that's why you might have noticed that my hand was always on the tuning dial here, because there's a Doppler shift. Satellites have Doppler shift. They move so fast that the frequency shifts. So when it arrives, the center frequency for the International Space Station is 145.800. But when it arrives, it's around 145.803, and it slowly goes down. Actually, it's not plugged in right now, but for a long time, I had my ICOM controlled by the computer. And that would make my ICOM automatically Doppler shift. I need to replug that and have that working again. I'd like to do it. It's really cool because the software is actually controlling the frequency of my radio without me doing anything. I have some videos on a VHF UHF channel where I did that. And you don't have to touch anything. You just let it go because it follows automatically with the Doppler shift, which is pretty cool. And the K2 says, I wonder about their antenna because I couldn't figure out why a 60-degree pass here at such a weak signal when I got it a lot better on some lower passes, but those passes were across another part of the sky. There is direction. There's definitely some direction in their signal. And one of the things also is you got to understand the antenna you have. So for example, mine is a vertical. I know that above maybe 70 degrees, I tend to have a weak spot on the satellites because my vertical antenna doesn't receive straight up. It's not made for that. It's made to receive signals, on the horizon. So if a satellite passes really overhead, I actually have usually a good spot, then it drops, then it gets better again. But on the International Space Station, they have some pattern, because I noticed that some parts, for example, if it passes south of me, and this pass was north. So if we look at this, that path was north of me. Well, that's the next pass, but the other pass was north, even more north. This one, the next one is going to be even closer and north also. But it passed north of Montreal, very low. And that one, you see the clear decode that I had, but I've noticed the other day that I had one that passed south here. And it was about 30 degrees, so it's about the same elevation. And I noticed that my signals were really, really weak. So it seems that when it's north of me, get better signals. Probably their antenna pattern makes it better when it's in that direction for some reason. It might be their antenna pattern, simply. So yes, Nikolai, spectacular decode, absolutely. Moria, nice to have you here. So what is there? I'm just gonna Moria 330, and it is quite cool. Honestly, it's extremely cool to catch as it goes by. Absolutely. Nicola, about HAARP. I heard it's no longer active, but then how did you receive it? It is active, Nicola. It was like I said at the beginning of the show, it was owned by U.S. government, and then the funding was not there anymore, so they shut it down, and the University of Alaska has bought it. So the tests now are being done by the University of Alaska. That's where it comes from. So it's they reactivated this week, and they will reactivate a few times during the summer. So I think it's going to be nice to take a look at that for sure. Hey Hans, nice to have you here from Germany. 73 is nice to have you here. What else? What else? Please lowercase letters KC2JLI There's no voice on the International Space Station. It's always slow scan TV. When they have there's some voice, but you got to listen to, the only voice you might have is when there's ARIS experiments with schools. What they do is sometimes they have the astronauts talk with schools. I heard that once they had set up a set of classes around the border up in the state of New York and Maine, and they were talking down and responding back to questions asked by students. And that's the only time I heard voice from the amateur station. You can also hear voice from the International Space Stations itself, though. You can hear the general communications when it's overhead. So it's kind of interesting. PA1WX says, I use NSAT Droid free app for satellite tracking, works fine and it's free. And also, if you want to decode slow scan TV, and that counts for every every type of slow scan on the shortwave bands, amateur bands. Robot 36 is one of the apps that you can use. I've got it here. So this is Robot 36. I could have turned it on just to test it out, but Robot 36 is an app that will decode slow scan TV on the Android phone or tablet. MMSSTV for Windows, works up to Windows 10. Even though it hasn't been updated in a while, even on Windows 10 it works fine. MMSSTV is installed on every machine I got. Every version of Windows works fine. Any slow scan? Anybody have a slow scan TV for Mac or for Linux by any chance, so that we can cover every aspect of the computing community? Because I know the ones for Android, I know the one for PC. I know there's one, and let me check it out. I might have it still. Let me check my my good old iPhone 5, my good old iPhone that I have still here, that still works, thank God. I had something out of the let's just check that out here. I had one for slow scan TV on my iPhone and iPad. SSTV. Oh, this is really slow. Okay, an iPhone 5 is really slow. Okay, SSTV. It's just called SSTV by Black Cat Systems, but I believe it's a paid app. But I do have it available on my iPhone for iOS. It's made by Black Cat Systems, so I don't know if there's a free version of slow scan TV here. But I believe I paid for that. For iOS, so iPad and iPhones, you have a SSTV available software. What else do we have? Casey Red Dragon, hey there, nice to have you here. Bill K3WDR, hello there. Emil Jensen, nice to have you here. When will the 600 meter band be good for listening? 600 meters is very low, and usually it's mostly, typically winter nights are the best time for these very, very low frequencies. But nighttime, as we get into summer, the problem with all the low bands, medium wave, long wave, is the static crashes from all the thunderstorms. But winter time is usually the best. Nicolas says UVB 76 coming in quiet tonight. That's the buzzer. I actually heard it this week. Very weak, too weak to actually make a video out of it. But the buzzer 4625 was making it. I could hear it in the SDR this week. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. What else do we have? Nicola Hughes, I have a question for you all. Can a radio use two antennas at the same time? Well, you can plug two antennas on the same, on the same coax and put them all at the same time, yeah, it changes the pattern and it makes for different type of listening. Depends. But you know, like my ICOM has two antennas at the same time, but at different frequency ranges. But on the same frequency range, yeah, you can, you know, put two antennas at the same time. It's just that depending on what you're listening to, it might be a positive thing or it might be a negative thing to have. It depends on really a lot of different factors, actually. Okay, what else do we have? KC2JOS says, has B 30 to 45 degrees as past your Q2H for good reception, like star, light dish lineup. You know, for a vertical antenna that I have, it has, the next one is 60, and it's north. I expect it to be also very good. So that's, you know, at 2200, the next pass is going to be interesting to look at. Nicolas Hughes, nice to have you on board. You missed the super decode. Let me just put it back because it's just so, oh, it's not visible here. Wait, let's go to history. We need to go back to history here and view the super decode of, isn't there a history of, yeah, here we go. Somewhere, here we go. A super decode of this slow scan TV picture from the International Space Station. So, what else is there? Richard Cook, Pyongyang S9 signal on 9665. Let's just try it out here. Let's try to go back into our shortwave little moments, as most of you are here for shortwave also. Really nothing much. Talking of software, because I was playing around with my, I got a Insider machine for Windows, and it has Windows 10 Insider previews on it. And HDSDR doesn't work well for some reason on the Windows 10 machine, and I don't know why exactly. It doesn't seem to receive enough of the data to work well, and it's kind of weird. So yesterday I had kind of a flash late yesterday evening, and I said, oh, SDR console doesn't work on Windows 7 machine that I have here. I don't know why. It doesn't detect my ephedry. But I thought, hey, I'm going to install SDR console version 3 on Windows 10 and see if it does anything. First surprise, it said, oh yeah, you got an ephedry, here's the IP address. Oh, okay, yeah. Start. And I started listening, and it actually works really well. And I kind of listened a good chunk of the evening yesterday with SDR console on Windows 10. And it worked really well. But you know, I'm of course it's a learning curve, so I got to understand a little more of SDR console, which I was not used. So understanding how to, you know, tune around and have a, you know, I'm used to using HDSDR, so I kind of am used to all the little, you know, tips and the little things and the little quirks of the software that you understand. Oh, you got to do this to do that and so on. Which is not, I'm still not very good with SDR console. So anyways, I listened yesterday, I had a lot of fun with it. I still need to learn a lot on it because I got like tons of problems in trying to figure out different little things. Somebody told me on Facebook, oh well, you know what, you're gonna love SDR console so much more, and I was like, okay, well for now I still love HD SDR much more, but you know, I'm going to continue using it, and I'm going to try it out for sure. So, you know. So, yeah, like Two Hands on the Radio says, astronauts answer questions and have operators, but mostly schools, most of the time. They don't often do ham operations themselves, but they do have. Yeah, that's Packet. Packet is on 145.825, I believe. I'm not sure it's still on the Packet side, though, because there was a problem at the space station. Okay, Bobby Burgess, thank you very much, and P1SBM on Linux QSSTV for slow scan. Thank you. And MDK2 says Black Cat Systems has some decoding software for Mac. It's not freeware though. Yeah, it's probably the same that I have on iOS for iPhone. SSTV, but made by Black Cat Systems. But their software is not free, absolutely. And what else do we have? Yeah, MixW and Ham Radio Deluxe, absolutely. KC2JLY is Windows and Mac. You're right. Mark Carson says QSSTV worked for me on Linux, but I didn't have it hooked up to the receiver. Okay. Gaza East Anglia uses multi-scan for the Mac. Okay. Nicholas says my current phone is the iPhone 10, but my oldest is 3G. Okay. So multi-scan. Apparently, multi-scan. Okay. Enoch Devdal, nice to have you here. Ham Radio Deluxe 5 works on Linux. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, we're going down, looking at everything. Kellum says, hello, I'm right about radio waves with long wave being the most natural. Oh, yes, absolutely. PLF Radio. Does the weather affect long wave, medium wave bands? Below, you know, in the general spectrum of radio, technically below 30 megahertz, weather, as apart from the fact of the static crashes from thunderstorms, weather has very little effect on the reception of medium wave, long wave, and short wave frequencies. I know on short wave it has almost no effect. On medium wave and long wave, I would not, you know, long wave I don't think is affected, but who knows, you know. The humidity and everything on these very low frequencies, I'm not totally sure of the propagation characteristics of anything below 1 megahertz, let's say, which is, you know, like the long wave bands pretty much. And technically what mostly affects is the fact that when you're in the summer, it's you know, the static crashes that come from thunderstorms that could be very far away, by the way. You know, it's better in the winter, not necessarily because of the cold weather or anything. It's just because in the wintertime, especially in the high latitudes, we have very long nights, which tend to help on the medium wave, long wave bands also. Dr. Megahertz is a buzzer fan. Nice to have you on board. So, what is there? Hey, David in Barcelona. Nice to have you on board. Having success in receiving very clean SSTV images from the International Space Station. Woohoo! This is nice. I just had one that's quite amazing. Look at that. That was beautiful. Beautiful. That was the decode of earlier. Really nice. Nice to have you here. What is there? I'm getting 4625 buzzer loud in New Jersey right now. I'm not really sure you can get it at this time of day on the East Coast. But, what else do we have? What SDR am I using, Dr. Megahertz? It's the AFEDRI. AFEDRI. AFEDRI SDR. It's a long wave, medium wave, short wave network. It's networked, so it's plugged into my router, and via the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi signals, I am receiving it on my laptop, and this one is on a desktop computer. So pretty cool. What else do we have? What else do we have? Mika Dalmaj, nice to have you here. And says, hey Joel, I had to watch 2 videos at once on YouTube. Yours and a short video by Emma Christensen with her barbecue rib receipt. Okay. She was way cuter than you. No problem, Mickey. I got no problem with that. Richard, 11680 probably better for you. Let's try 11680. Am I going to receive anything there? 11680. I've got very weak something, but too weak to do anything. Very, very, very weak signal on on 11.680 here. Oh, that's true. One thing that I didn't think about, like CT2WW says, there are a lot of Windows programs that do work on Linux if you use Wine. Absolutely. That is true. Hey, Rich in Atlanta, Georgia. Nice to have you here. And have you determined where the unID pips on 6818 come from? I was hearing similar pips on 7283 the other night. I have no idea. And I did go into a forum. It was on the what's called the there's a monthly publication by the I'm trying to remember the name. Anyways, it's a club that's devoted to to you know, number stations and stuff like that. They had a lot of logs of 6818, the pip there, but nobody seemed to know where they come from. No, I will not fix your computer. That's it. So, but you know, when I put it like this, it sounds more like I will. Well, I will not. Yeah. Still not. So yeah, I have no idea, Rich, where they are from, and I was kind of surprised. I saw it on the SDR display, and it was kind of intriguing. I clicked and started noticing the pips on 6818. At first, because every time I hear on the shortwave bands an unusual signal, pips of any kinds, or a carrier of any kind, the first thing that I always think about is maybe it's local interference, and I always want to make sure that I'm not going to post a video about some kind of local interference here, which was not 6818 was not that. It definitely had fadings, and it looked like a signal on shortwave. So, but I have no idea. I have no idea. Calvin says, I got the SDR Play 2 Pro a few weeks ago, Gel. SDR Uno is great software, but all that's available for Mac or Raspberry Pi is Cubic SDR, and it's such an awful program. Yeah, that's sad though. There wouldn't be a need for better software for sure. So, you know. Callum is listening to the BBC Radio 4 on 198 kilohertz long wave. Steve says 4625 week in Australia, but he can hear it. Oh, that's nice. Donald Hosner, nice to have you here. Rotten HF reception here, having thunderstorms with thunder and lightning, rain and sleet, falling snow and ice. That's pretty much what we're going to have through the weekend. Theodore Sears, hello there, says, looking to try Android phone SDR. Do you have any information? I'm thinking that USB TV device could be used. Yeah, you can use SDR Touch. It works fine. SDR Touch. With the RTL dongle works fine. I don't know if I can, do I have my RTL dongle close by? I could maybe do a demonstration while I'm at it. But with the software called SDR Touch and the driver that you add to it, and I don't seem to find anything that I want right now, and you can actually listen in to, oh, maybe I can use the, I'll do this. I'll use my Soft 66, although it doesn't have an antenna, but when you use one of these software, let me just check it out here. Do I have the cable necessary? That's always a problem here, having the cables to do whatever you want to do. So here we go. Let me just check it out here. So this is going to plug in here. So of course I'm using a Galaxy S7 phone. So I'll put this here. I'll put this here. And this is, now there's no antennas on it, but well, I don't know if I can try something here. So I've got my, I need to remove the cover when I do this. So I've got the adapter for my my Galaxy S7 phone here, and of course I've got SDR Touch. So basically, I just plug it in to the phone, and then I go here and use SDR Touch software, and here we go. If I turn it on, oh, this one is not compatible apparently, so I need to use my RTL dongle. I'll have to use my RTL dongle for it to work, which I don't know where it is. That's where I'm trying to find it. Let me just check it out quickly, guys, because I don't want to use too much time doing this, searching for stuff. Oh, and it has appeared magically in front of my eyes. So here's the so you can actually plug in the dongle directly. So you see here it light up, and now I guess I can. It's running the RTL. There we go. So here you hear the static, and if I plug in some kind of antenna on it, if I can maybe find something to plug, which I very quickly need to find because I don't want to annoy everybody. Let's just for the sakes of it plug in something like this, which should actually fit in the little hole, and I don't know if it's gonna work or not. Let me just tune the weather here. So I'm gonna go to 162.55 on this thing here. Oh, 162.55. So it should be somewhere here. Here we go, 55. I don't know if it's gonna work and you'll hear anything, but let's try it out here. I don't know if it's there we go. I just had reception. I think I stopped it. I just go back. Oops, I think I moved it. I just sorry guys. I had it for a few seconds. I just turn it off. Let's unplug it. Plug it back. So here,
for the period 1/11. Forecast for the Levantine tonight, partly cloudy, becoming cloudy near midnight, then rain changing to snow overnight. Winds becoming north 20.
well, that's how you use it. You can use a RTL dongle like this, which is $10. SDR Touch on the Android device. If you have a new device with, I believe it's Android version 7 or later, or 6 or later, you don't need to root the device. If you're below 6, you need to root your device in order to work. And of course you'll need an adapter to adapt it to your device, tablet, phone, whatever. As you've seen, guys, works great. You can actually listen to, I can turn my phone into a scanner radio with just an RTL dongle here, basically. So that was a demonstration, guys. What is UDXF? Yeah, I'm not sure it was that one though that I was, but it could be a utility DX, UDXF. There's that club also for utility DXing, absolutely, for sure. Enigma 2000 numbers and oddities. Thank you, Dr. Megahertz. That's what I was looking for. That's where 6818 was logged, by the way. What is there? CTU says the pips are all over the place. Also noted on 10140. Interesting. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. 10140. No show tomorrow, PA1WX. Tomorrow is the Saturday that I take it off, take it easy, just am relaxed. So, next, silly VRP and Poland says, just bought my first radio for listening, especially shortwaves. Cool, cool. What radio did you buy? Something to understand says iOS and Mac market is professionals. SDRs are not professional, more hobby. So I guess that's why fewer options. You know what? I don't think so. I don't think that's the reason why. I think it's more because it's simply the numbers game. There's less Mac users. You know, Macs are not even 10% of the world. So there's less people developing these things for Macs. Where Windows is it's the enthusiast operating system, and to a certain point, I would say that Linux is also an enthusiast operating system. So there's more people tweaking and trying to have things working on Windows and Linux, probably because of the fact that there's more enthusiasts there than on the Mac side, where basically, I don't know. If I had a Mac, I had a MacBook Pro for a long time, and it was mostly for work. And I always found it really sad that all the software wasn't available for it. And it's one of the things why I've always kind of, no, I'm going to stay Windows or at least, maybe Linux. Theodore Sears, I have cell phone and Android ZTE and unknown USB TV device. Well, it's an RTL device but you might need to root your device. It depends on your device. I got a Galaxy S7 and it works actually fine. So, Calvin says, I use Macs every day and I hate going back to Windows laptop. Shame they haven't adapted even SDR Uno. Yeah, it's a very personal thing, honestly. So, Yeah, my MacBook Pro is an old MacBook Pro. It's jammed at staying at 10.7 of OS 10. Marcel, hello there, says I often hear various frequencies on the USB English amateurs, but I hear them outside the amateur bands. Like this afternoon, 5278.5. That is an amateur band. By the way, okay, well, there's a 60-meter band, and it's divided in channels. So I'm not sure if 5278.5 is one, but there's a 60-meter band that is divided in channels between 5200 and 5400 kilohertz, somewhere over there. So you might hear amateur radio operators in there. It is an amateur band, but it is divided differently depending on Europe or North America. So what is there? Going down slowly. David says, too bad my Huawei Y6i is not USB on the go capable. Would have loved to use it with my RTL SDR dongle when out on the street. I love just using it now. I haven't used it in a while doing that. I'm kind of thinking, oh man, after the show I'm gonna play with the it would be a kind of an interesting thing to receive the International Space Station on my phone with the dongle and post the decoding of a video or something, This one, the RTL SDR, which is an RTL SDR, I purchased this one, I believe, for like $8 on eBay. It didn't even cost $10 with the shipping. And you can use your PC, and this becomes a kind of a radio scanner if you want. It's very cheap to listen to VHF, UHF bands with it. iMapper, iOS does not have anything for RTL SDRs, and the reason why is because iOS is a closed system. So you can't tap into the system where you need to have an RTL SDR working. So that's why there's nothing for iOS. It's because of its closed nature. I don't know if anybody on the jailbreaking devices ever did something. You know, when I had my my iPad, the first thing I did was jailbreak it to make sure I could do something else. But on iOS, the RTL dongles did not work. And it's purely because Apple blocks the way that you can access the system. So those don't work. So, you know, just crazy. Richard Cook is receiving WBCQ 7490. Hey there, Douglas Perry. Nice to have you here. How to listen to DRM or digital UHF TV. You know, that you need to have a more advanced thing. You can. There are some capture cards, you know, like the Apogee cards for the digital TV signals, stuff like that. They're like $100 to $150. DRM, you can do it on your computer. And if you're talking about DRM for shortwave, if you have a piece of software called Dream, D-R-E-A-M, and you need to tap because it needs to be, it's a wider signal than a regular shortwave signal, so you need to tap in to get a 12 kilohertz wide signal. But DRM is, I've not been able at all to decode DRM here. It's just too noisy. Signal to noise ratio is too high, honestly. So you know. I'm gonna check that out. What else is there? SDRDX on Mac OS 10 is great, apparently. Okay. Works with the Fedri. Is it compatible with 10.7? Because my MacBook Pro is an old machine, so it's a 10.7 machine. Well, my laptop is running really hot here. Jet Simon says, thanks to all for tuning in to the Shortwave channel. Yeah, thank you, Jet Simon, for the promotion, and let's promote it a little more. If you guys want to help me out, don't forget, PayPal is a great way to help me out. At paypal.me/shortwave, you can send me a little something. It's really, really welcome. And of course, patreon.com/radio and computers. You can join 10 patrons that help me out every month. And you know, I would have gone, I always say the same thing, I know, but I would not have gone through 2017 without donations. It's what kept me going because of the crappy AdSense. I'll be very honest, my AdSense is much better this year. It's actually, I'm actually making twice the money for the first 13 days of April. My AdSense is twice that of April of last year, which was so bad that it's like crazy. So you know, it's better, and it's not what it used to be at some point, but it is getting better at least. And I want to thank everybody. If you like what you know we're doing here, if you like the fact that we talk about radio and have a lot of fun, please do take the time to give a little something and help out here. Okay. What else do we have? What else do we have? Yeah, that is something that it could be very useful. Like Nicholas Soren says, better to use a USB-Y cable, split the power and data. It does drain a lot of power from the phone, and the battery doesn't last that long when you're actually using a SDR dongle. Richard Cook says HM01 on 11635, which is the number lady from Cuba. Weak signal. There's something on 11610. What's that? in what sounds like Mandarin is 21 to 22, which we are what now? We are 21 to 22. So this is Madagascar World Voice in Mandarin from Madagascar relay station. So this is like 13,000 kilometers away from me. Madagascar relay station, the Madagascar World Voice, the Light of Life, and from Madagascar coming in Mandarin. It's a broadcast to Western Europe apparently, 21 to 2200 UTC. It's coming quite well on 11610 right now. Kind of interesting to see this. What else do we have? Let's continue on. And thanks, Jed Simon, for being such a good promoter of my channel. Richard Cook had it yesterday on 16180. Suddenly on a standstill. Over the past 5 years, what would you say has changed shortwave listening? Global 24, SDRs, viewing the band on the computer. You know what? It's a good question actually, because the hobby changes. So, you know, let's face it, the shortwave hobby is changing, but it's still there. And one of the things about the shortwave hobby that I think, first of all, what is changing is, depending on where you live, you know, one of the big changes, you might not be anymore in what is a prime listening audience for anyone, so you might have more difficulty receiving signals. North America is a great example. We are not the prime target for a lot of signals anymore. And of course it comes back to there's a lot of you know, people coming back to me on my channel saying there's nothing to listen to. And what happens is that you know, a lot of the stations you want, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, somebody came on and said, man, you know, BBC's not on shortwave anymore. And yes, it is. It's just that it's not targeting North America, or it's not targeting necessarily where you are. So it makes it a little more difficult to listen to some of the signals, but you can still hear the BBC. I mean, I hear BBC on 15400 in the afternoons. I sometimes hear 12095. It's just that the signals are weaker because they're not targeting your area. So it's changing. So that's one change. Over the past 5 years, we've lost a few stations. Radio Australia was gone. Things like that. So we got to adapt our listening, but there's still a lot of stations to listen to. I have to say, what is changing the hobby, and I think it's a good thing. I think, thank God, the availability of cheap but good shortwave radios, like the Texan PL 310 ET, Texan PL 380, and even for really small budget, in some cases, you know, the TIVDO V115 is surprising for what it is and for the price. It's not even a $20 radio. It has, you know, a digital readout and everything. Is just crazy. And I find that cool, because in a world where shortwave is getting difficult to listen to, a little more difficult in some areas, having at least affordable radios is a way to compensate. Because if there's not that much to listen to, and you're not gonna spend $300 on a radio, but you might be tempted, for the fun of it, to invest $40 for a Texan PL 380, for example, which will bring in, surprisingly well, most stations, even the weak ones. And that's pretty cool. Now, the other thing that has changed in the past years, SDR. software-defined receivers are kind of interesting. They are also interesting because for a long time, having a shortwave radio in your computer was a $1,000 plus deal. You only had specific SDRs available, and they were $1,000, $2,000. And you know, honestly, if I had to spend $2,000 on an SDR, I'd spend $2,000 on an ICOM SCR8600 tabletop receiver. But what's changed is we have, thanks to the technology coming down really cheap, you know, things like as simple as this Soft 66. And here you've got a shortwave radio, which is an SDR, software-defined receiver. This thing costs $40, receives shortwave, receives VHF, UHF. Also, it's a wideband radio. That's why there's 2 antenna connectors. And, you know, I mean, things have changed totally. For a small amount of money paid, you can enjoy a lot of the hobby. And software-defined receivers are changing the game because you got a visual of every signal on bands. It's just crazy. I want to know what's that signal there right here. I just click on it, and here we are. We have a signal here on 11820, which is Saudi Arabia. And you know, I just looked at the lines. That's what made me click on Madagascar. I saw the really huge signal right there. I clicked on Madagascar 11610 and listened to it. So you know, that's changing the game also. I think all of this together is amazing and changing our hobby and helping out and making it really, you know, really a cool hobby, honestly, and still keeping the momentum, keeping the fun out of all of this. G. Britton, nice to have you here. 11610 coming in pretty clear in Toronto, Ontario. Pretty cool. Hurricane OM7AHU. We don't know much about you, at least me. Do you have some web page about you? What call sign do you have? Yeah, I'm a mysterious man. No, actually, I don't really have. You know, who am I? I'm an average guy in Canada doing these live shows. Been listening for 35 years, a little more. Been in the hobby and enjoying the hobby for a long time. Apart from that, you know, married guy. You know, love music. I love music a lot, from, you know, the old stuff, from the Doors and Pink Floyd and whatever, to you know, Simon Garfunkel, to 80s, 70s disco music. I kind of like that also. I'm a very wide variety. I'm a 80s pop kid, so I do enjoy the 80s a lot and 80s music, and pretty modern also. So I like listening in. You know, I'll listen into Lady Gaga or Coldplay or all sorts of new stuff that's available that sounds good. That's pretty much it. You know, there's not that much to discover to me. I'm pretty open and pretty ordinary guy. Unknown station of 15120, just a carrier, no audio. 15120. Anything here? I do have the carrier, and I believe it's going to be a sign-on. If I'm not mistaken, Richard, this 15120 is going to be a sign-on, 15120, for, isn't that Voice of America? 20, yeah. In 7 minutes. 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 6 minutes. It's going to be Voice of America. And it's broadcasting, it's relayed. From I see here, it's relayed, it's from Greenville, actually, North Carolina. So that's just a signal. You should hear the, we'll leave it there, we'll hear probably the Yankee Doodle or whatever from the Voice of America, 15120. Radioactive says, had issues with Orbitron giving accurate tracking information after TLE update. Switch to HRD SAT tracker. Yeah, you made sure that Orbitron, radioactive Orbitron, needs to be. You need to right click on it and go into the properties. And anybody that wants to install Orbitron for satellite tracking, by the way, you right click on the executable, you go in properties. In the properties, you will choose that it's a Windows 7 machine, and you will choose that it needs to be administrator. It's very important, because if you're not an administrator, I believe with Windows 7 and up, and I know in Windows 10 it is, Windows 10, it doesn't update the TLEs. Because the TLEs are actually in a folder where Windows doesn't want you to write. By giving it administrative privileges, now it gives the permission for the software to write in that folder. So make sure that you right click and you choose. I've had a lot of people tell me that, and somebody told me, and I told him, oh no, there's you just need to give admin, and he said, oh yeah, it does work. It does work. So maybe that's what you have as an issue. It needs to be administrative for it to work well in the upload of the TLEs. And for the International Space Station, you also need to have your two-line elements updated very regularly, unlike a lot of other satellites, because they push it back up in its orbit regularly because it's technically falling down all the time. So by pushing it back up, they're actually changing its orbit, so you need to update the TLEs to follow that. Southern Illinois and remembers when a Win TV PCI card was $1,000, expensive as hell. You know, I remember when I bought my first Apogee. I had a Pentium 3 600 megahertz, and I went to a store and I saw a Apogee TV capture card. It was like $250, and I said, oh cool, I can listen to the TV on my computer and do a lot of other things. And I used that card so for such a long time. People were like amazed, you know. They would come home and say, hey, you're watching TV on your computer? Yeah, it's kind of cool, you know. David in Barcelona says, even for a person with no budget at all, there's always an alternative of listening to a nearby web SDR or keyway SDR. Absolutely, absolutely. Even more. The you can listen online. There's you know there's tons. If you go to sdr.hu, there's tons and tons of software-defined receivers that you can listen to from your local, you know, close to where you are to around the world, which is kind of cool also. Yes, I'm keeping track of that. I'm keeping track of the time for the International Space Station, for sure. For sure. AOS is acquisition of signal. It means when the signal will start to be possibly heard where I am. So it's AOS and LOS usually on a lot of software. They put that. So AOS, acquisition of signal, when you get the signal, it starts coming in. LOS for the loss of signal, when your signal is now probably, you know, too far or under the horizon, so you can't get it anymore. Revelda65, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. PLF radio, no casing for your SDR. Yeah, the Ephedri does, but not. There's no casing on this one, the South 66 that I have here. You can add one if you want. I have a metal casing here that I've purchased once to put one of these SDRs inside a metal encasing. But you know what? I'm a sucker for seeing the electronic circuits. I'd like to have maybe a transparent case. I like watching and seeing the electronic circuits inside when I use devices. I find it kind of cool to look at. Casey Red Dragon, do you hear NOAA 19 on 137.1? Yeah, when it's overhead, I've heard it last time I've checked on. I did hear it, absolutely. Yeah, text and radios are great, Colin. A lot of text and radios are great. Dr. Megahertz, Degen is also good. Yeah, Degen D1103 is great. Lots of portable receivers. Southern Illinois, you say you enjoy his music, so what's your take on Michael Jackson? I filter out the for whatever for whatever artist, whatever popular figure, I kind of filter out a lot of the filth from whatever news media. And I still think Michael Jackson is one of the greatest artists of all time. As for the rest, you know what? We weren't there. And a lot of the things going on with that was people wanting to have cash because he had a lot of money. For the rest, you know, there's nothing, you know. I like that. You know what? When I mention it, Mick Ash says, you just threw away all your credibility when you admitted to enjoy 70s disco. When I mention it, I just said, okay, somebody out there is going to say, he listens to The Doors, to Led Zeppelin, to Simon Garfunkel, and 70s disco? That guy just lost it. Theodore Sears, I'm looking forward to experiment with a Unan transformer as a step-up transformer on my Grundig S350DL shortwave receiver. Input 500 home, just out of cash to buy 901. You know, you'll see. I don't know if you'll see a really big difference, but you know. Casper Peterson, nice to have you here. You got to give Orbitron admin radioactive, very important, or else it just doesn't update. Mickey says, VOA Greenfield booming in here. They have a very nice QSL if you report to them direct to the station. So if you guys want to have a QSL card, they're about to start. So it's funny because it's 31 and there's very weak audio. There's very weak audio in 15120 right now. So I knew it. You know what? Sheldon, I was thinking of you because I was about to mention, yep, Duran Duran. Love it. And I love Duran Duran, okay? I've been there and I've seen them in concert at least 6 times, and I love Duran Duran, so that's it. I've said it. I love disco and I love Duran Duran. Oh God, Mark H, nice to have you on board. So just Simon heard the Yankee Doodle. My reception was kind of poor here, so. No Rick Ashley though. I'm sorry. Never gonna give you up. I don't want to hear that ever again. I just can't. Another 80s act that I just can't. Don't play Wham. I'm going to go nuts. If you play Wham, I'm going to go crazy. Okay? And George Michael. I can't. Can't stand. Can't stand. So, you know, I'm kind of an hybrid guy. I like disco and I like Duran Duran, but I don't like Rick Astley and I hate Wham and George Michael. So, don't play any of that, please. Yeah, well, I remember seeing, because the Grundig S50 450 DLX is an AM only receiver and for shortwave, and I remember seeing, I don't know if anybody remembers, is there still some kind of external box that turns a receiver that is AM only into a single sideband capable receiver? I don't. I remember there was something, but you know, most of the time you're better off just buying, like, you know, an inexpensive, like a Texan or a Degen radio that has, you know, that has a single sideband already on it. You know. Yeah, P1SBM, never gonna punch you in the face. What's next, Pet Shop Boys? Oh, they're good actually, Pet Shop Boys. I admit it, I actually bought their first LP when Pet Shop Boys became popular. I had their vinyl. And you know what, U2, I used to like U2 a lot, and I'm kind of tired of U2. It's somehow, you know, and I think what made me kind of get away a little bit from U2 is every time Bono opens his mouth to talk, the only thing I want to say is, shut up and sing. And I remember last time I went to a U2 concert with my nephews, Bono started talking about something, and I looked at my nephews and I said, I look at them and I said, shut up and sing. I don't want to hear your whatever, you know. But anyways. Oh God. God. You know you gotta have faith. Yeah, absolutely, Richard Cook. You gotta have faith. Oh, the Pagement's good. Scott Collier. The Pagement I actually like. Personal Jesus is good. There's a lot of good songs. The Pagement is kind of good. Yeah, the BFO kit. Theater Series. Is there still a BFO kit available? And let's slowly take a peek at what's happening with the International Space Station in the Pacific Ocean, coming for a pass to Montreal soon. You did get the Texan 880. Yeah, there is a BFO kit, but honestly, you're better to have one of those receivers there. You know, the receivers are made for that, you know. P1 SBM says, so show Monday I'm meeting up with a Canadian YouTuber. But Pet Shop Boys was a very short thing. I liked their first album, but I didn't really follow much of Pet Shop Boys. I'm not a big fan. It's, you know, songs here and there. RadioNet R. The ICOM R71A is a great receiver. Great old vintage receiver. You just got to be careful, because especially when somebody wants to buy it used. I was going to look here because my screen went weird. Sorry guys, I'm doing that, but something went weird on the screen, but it looks okay. Okay, so the ICOM R71A is a great vintage ICOM receiver. The only problem with it is that battery that dies and that erases kind of all the memory and makes the radio useless. Just got to be careful with that. I know there's a mod to actually fix that. But apart from that, and I never understood why ICOM used the battery to keep all the firmware thing in there. But the ICOM R71A is a great, and it's a beautiful radio. I always found it very, very nice, honestly. But, you know, it's, oh, by the way, I forgot to, you guys are going to be, okay, guys, better look at this. By the way, I was drinking beer today. I've got beer socks. Look at that. I've got my beer socks today. Yeah, I never thought I'd show my feet on the camera. It sounds like a fetish or something. So I got beer socks on, by the way. But you know, I'm a very mixed bag of music. I tend to like my music a little more on the hard, kind of the hard side. Especially, you know, I play a lot of the guitar, so I like everything that has a lot of guitar in it. And I'm a mixed bag because my brother, you know, gave me the Doors and Led Zeppelin. I was, you know, I'm a big fan of Led Zeppelin. You know, it's a very mixed bag of music. I like I'm very large. More modern things, I'd say that I like Coldplay. I find Coldplay very good. I would say that probably is what I would listen to now. Coldplay. And you know, I like a lot of things. Okay, what else is there? Taylor Sears says, I have had a ATS 909 radio with SSB. It was nice. I used it until it got broken. Then it went to the garbage. You should have put it in garbage. Yeah, got beer socks. Pants too. Yeah, I do have pants. I do have pants. I've got a Fender Stratocaster, Mark. Yeah, Drake R8, absolutely drool. It's a beautiful. Yeah, Foo Fighters is actually good. I like Foo Fighters. Here, guys, I'm gonna show you the actual instrument. And I'm talking about the guitar. Don't get weird ideas, guys. So I've got the a real Fender Stratocaster here. So that's been my main guitar for the past 25 years. When I took my guitar lessons, beer pants, you know. So anyways, Hale Hutchison, nice to have you here. I haven't played it in a while now. And I actually have a Marshall amp in the back. I don't know if you guys can see it. Just don't look at the mess, but I'm just gonna put it like this behind the toolbox, so it shows you that I don't use it a lot lately. You'll see that there's a big Marshall amp right there. There's a Marshall amp, and with the guitar. So that's a 80-watt combo with good old reverb. You know, the reverb that has a spring, a metal spring inside the amplifier to actually make the reverb, which is kind of cool. And that one is a Vol State, so it has a tube. It has a tube for the distortion effects. So, oh, nice. Sheldon says Foo Fighters. Now we're talking. My all-time favorite band though is the Allman Brothers. Yeah, they're not bad. Also, the Allman Brothers are also good. So you know what, Sheldon? If we meet up for beer sometime, and you play music, I actually will like the music you listen to because I like it also. And if you come over here, I will play. You know, I'll let you choose. I'll let you choose whatever album you want to play. Like that, there won't be any fights. Joe Satriani, oh, absolutely. I was a big fan of Joe Satriani when I had my guitar courses. I discovered Joe Satriani when I had my guitar courses. It was crazy, and I loved that. I loved that a lot. I can tell you that. Yeah, Black Sabbath, kind of interesting. I didn't know much about Black Sabbath until a friend of mine that is a big fan, and I went to his house, and he said, "Hey, you mind I put music on?" And I said, "No, whatever." And you know, he asked me whatever, and I said, "No, just put on whatever you want to listen to." And it was Black Sabbath, and was like listening, and I was like, "Oh, who's that?" And he says, "Oh, it's Black Sabbath." I was like, "Oh, really? Oh, that's kind of good." I actually enjoyed it. Mickey Domash says, Deep Purple of yesterday and today. You can still bring it in the current version. Yeah, Deep Purple, not bad. It's very progressive rock. Very interesting. Very interesting. Bobby Burgess, for the International Space Station, do you gotta have elevation of between 30 or higher to receive it better? Well, you know what, Bobby? The last pass where I had actually really cleaned the code, the highest it actually reached in the sky was 27 degrees. So it was quite low. And I got a great decode. This pass that's coming right now is 60 degrees up, much higher. So it's going to be interesting to see and compare the signal between the pass from the 27 degrees and the 60 degrees, for sure. David Williamson, weather does affect radio waves, but not as much as barometric pressure. You know, it depends on the frequencies, because we got to be careful. VHF, UHF, very high frequencies are, yes, affected by all sorts of weather phenomena. That, absolutely. It is a Vol State 80 PA1 SBM. It's a Vol State 80. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly the amp that you've got there. Bought it in 1990. I believe, 1990. And I remember because I didn't have the cash. Funny story about the amp. Didn't have the cash. And I had the cash for the guitar, didn't have the cash for the amp. I purchased the guitar, and because I dabble a little bit of electronics, I temporarily plugged the guitar into a makeshift amplifier that I had made so that at least I can hear myself. But it sounded absolutely crappy, but I could actually, follow my guitar courses. And about a month after, my brother, I hope he's not watching. My brother had problems paying his credit card. So he was looking for a way to have somebody pay an amount on the credit card while he couldn't pay it. And this is so bad of a story, I hope he's not watching. And he, so what happened, he said, oh, I could put the amp in on my credit card and you give me an amount every month. But the idea behind this was simply, well, if you give me $100 every month, it makes my minimum payment. And in 6 payments of, because it was 600, I think it was 6 or 7 payments of 100. In 6 or 7 payments, well, you'll have paid the amp. But in reality, I was giving him a break because it was like I was making the minimum payments on his credit card and I got my amp. So anyway, everybody was a winner here. So, oops, shh, don't tell anyone. It's a story, little story. You got the same amp. It is a great amp, P1 Alex. It is a great amp. I love it. I would never exchange it for anything in the world. You have the foot switch. It comes with the foot switch for the reverb and the distortion, the channel change. It's really, really good. It's a very, very nice amp. I can tell you that. I would not exchange it. When I was working, last job I had was one guy was really crazy about guitars, and when I told him I got a Valve State 80, it's a Valve State 8080, I believe it's 8080, the number, the full number. He said, "Oh man, do you want to exchange? I got a PV amp. I want to have a Marshall, and that one. I want that one." And I said, "No, it's not for exchange or anything." But he was totally nuts. It was like, I want it. Oh man. So AOS in 6 minutes in Oregon. So radioactive. Maybe you'll be able to display one of your decodes pictures. Gary Golin, hey there, nice to have you here. I've never been a Cream fan. Mark H says he's a big Cream fan. Never, but you know what? Then again, I've never really listened to Cream. I should, I got a Google Play subscription for music here. I should really listen to those old bands and listen to their albums, and I probably could discover tons of things that's really cool. Really, really cool. Callum loves Elvis. Never been a fan of Elvis. I respect Elvis and everything, but Elvis was never something that I really, I don't hate it. I mean, there's an Elvis song, so yeah, okay. But I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. My dad was a fan of Johnny Cash. So I know pretty much everything about Johnny Cash, not because I like it, because he played it for years, and every album for years. So I have, every time I go somewhere, it's like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a Johnny Cash song. Are you sure? Huh? Don't worry, I'm sure that's a Johnny Cash song. Man, you know what? Just Simon says, I went and took my mobile antenna off the car and stuck it on the roof of the house and downloaded Robot 36. That's a nice one, Jet Simon. That's the way you do it. Let's take the antenna off the car, put it on the roof of something, and just try it. So ISS coming to the west coast of the United States right now. Oregon is pretty much starting to get in there. And so anybody in the United States, especially pretty much all of the United States, but I would say more like the upper half of the United States, International Space Station is coming through. 145-800. Try it out for the... if you have a portable scanner, turn it on. Even with a rubber duck antenna, you're going to be able. 145-800. So, kind of nice. I'm a big Pink Floyd fan. Yes, Pink Floyd is one of my... If I have a desert island band that I would have with me, Pink Floyd would be one of the choices. Desert island music, Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd. Give me some booze and some Pink Floyd, and I'll be happy on my desert island. I'll be alone with, you know, and hopefully a shortwave radio, but I would like that. But if I can't, Pink Floyd and booze on a desert island, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. Oh, you know, okay, Celeston G12T speakers. Huh, interesting. Mark H, I heard a broadcast station on 7230 megahertz lower sideband out of Japan early this morning. Do you know what could this be? I thought normal broadcasts were straight shortwave. Well, they shouldn't be in lower sideband. Are you sure you weren't listening to some amateur radio operator? Let me just check here what's on 7230. Because, you know, if your receiver is on 7230 lower sideband, you meant hear something. From what I got here, 7230 has nothing from Japan written here. There's China, Iran, and South Africa. So I'm wondering if you haven't heard maybe either an image or simply heard a an amateur radio operator from there. Ah, okay, mine is not the S80. Mine is the Valve State 8080, 8080. It doesn't have stereo chorus in it. It has reverb. It has the valve for distortion, and with the 2 channels, and it has a foot switch that turns on the reverb or changes the channel of the amp. Welcome to This Week in Music, where today we're talking about old Marshall amps and Fender guitars. Danny, Shortwave Radio DX, nice to have you on board. 80 degrees in Yonkers, New York. Wow. Wow. Yeah, the Gambler. Of course. Everybody knows the Gambler. Nice Power 74. Come on. Aloha Jim says, better socks on than socks off. Nice to have you here. I need to check that. PLF Radio, take care. Leo Bingham Pratt, hello there, nice to have you here. Yeah, it's Kenny Rogers, I believe, right? The Gambler. I'm not a big fan of Kenny Rogers, but, you know. Chris Freda says, I like Elvis, but I still haven't been to Graceland despite living in Memphis. You know, it's like half of Montreal has never been to the Olympic Stadium, even though they live in Montreal. Yeah, Pink Floyd, I'm a big fan of Pink Floyd, absolutely. Desert Island music, Pink Floyd. That, absolutely. Roundtable by China Radio International English on 7415 says Octavian Liescu. Nice to have you on board, by the way, my friend. 7415. So let's try it out before we try another International Space Station pass. Nothing there. There's something here. What's that on 72? So CRI is good here on 7285, China Radio International. This is from Albania transmitter site.
Here in Beijing, and one of the things I've kind of wanted to do is go to some of these orphanages and just hang out with the kids, talk to them in English, you know, because I feel like, you know, that maybe I can help these kids out, or maybe just by speaking some English to them.
Radioactive is a nice decode of the ISS. Pretty cool.
And so recently,
Marcel says there's a signal now in 11635. Let's check it out.
These kind of things make me genuinely happy like that.
That's on 11635. I do not have anything there. Carrier up apparently for 10715, I believe. Yeah, carrier up for the HM01 Cuban number station 10715. Soon to be up. So, Ah, no problem. Judge Simon says, is this pass of the ISS more north or more south of the previous pass? It is a little bit south compared to the previous pass. The one that, well, it depends where you are, but for my vicinity, if I look here, it is a little bit south. Because on the East Coast, it was passing more northerly. And here, I'm hearing the Cuban number station that just started giving out numbers, 10715. So we'll digress from shortwave for a few moments as we are going to try a new decode of pictures from the slow scan television from the International Space Station, as the ISS is a few minutes away from passing over Montreal, by the way. And Eric VA2MO is ready. Just Simon listening. Frequency for ISS is 145800. KC Red Dragon, you've been asking all along for slow scan TV decodes. We're going to do that now again. We did it at the beginning of the show. Ah, Marcel, 10715. Cool. Evgeny MW, Russia, nice to have you here. But this one is a little south. It's north of us, but it's south compared to the other one. The other one was even more north, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll be checking that out. MDK2 getting a signal. Okay. Radioactive just posted is the code. And, oh, it's a beautiful one. Beautiful decode. Beautiful decode. The top part was just missing, but the rest is beautiful. Really nice decode. It's the same one. You received the same one. Series 9 612. You received one that I have already. 612. I believe it's the one that I have this week. So this is going to be nice. A very nice decode there, Radioactive. Very nice decode. Yeah, Dr. Megahertz, Pat Metheny is not bad at all. Absolutely. MDK2 just got a tail end of something. Passes very, very low. Gary Golin is getting a space station signal from Michigan right now. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And it's starting to get through, so let's start our engines and hope for the best. Let's put this here. And SSTV. Well, that's interesting. I can't. How about I put this here? Well, it's actually not here. Oh, this is weird. I can display both together. That's kind of interesting. Okay. So, anyways, let's put the LZR back up. So we'll see if we get anything, guys, as we're waiting for the slow scan TV pictures from the International Space Station. Pass is coming through slowly. I'm tuning 145803, just a little bit up to compensate for Doppler shift, and we'll see if something comes up. And it's cool to do this live on the show, though. I find it really, really nice. Okay, it started. We just started the picture now. It's still weak here. It's still very weak here. Very weak. Yeah, it's starting to decode. So I'm getting one picture here, very noisy picture. This one is not a good pass. This picture is not, at least not a good opportunity for me. Very noisy. Oh, it's getting better. The tail end is getting better. Hopefully the next picture will be good. The end of the picture is pretty good. Let's hope that we'll have a better decode on the next one. So, that's one. If we look at where it is right now in the orbit, it's not yet over the closest approach, so let's cross our finger. We might have a second really very nice decode. Very nice decode of the signal in few minutes times, a minute time or something. So yes, it is cool. Absolutely, Mark H. I love it. Eric says, getting decode here, nice strong signal, PD120. What antenna are you using, Eric, VA2MO? What type of antenna is it that you're getting? I got the tail end really strong, but the beginning was very weak for me. Kind of interesting. Hey, Fabrice Simonet. Nice to have you on board. And yes, you're in Japan. That's true. That's true. And we're decoding the International Space Station, Fabrice. You're coming to a pass of International Space Station over, and no, it's not a VHF show, but, you know. Antenna for VHF, I am using a wideband mobile vertical that is on a metal shed on the 3rd floor of where I live. And it's pretty surprising what I get from that antenna. So waiting for the reactivation of slow scan TV signal. The ISS is pretty much at its closest right now. So we're very, very close for Montreal. If we look at the info, the satellite is location. What is the prediction setup? Prediction. Let's see, there was a downrange signal, or length, I don't remember the downrange thing. So it's about to start again, probably. Let's cross our fingers for a very nice decode. Here we go. S8, S8 on the scale on my icon, S8. Deep fades. So this one had a few deep fades in it, so it shows in the picture, but still, you know, we still got an interesting picture here. Sorry, I'm filling out my beer because I lost my voice. Okay, there we go. So beer number 3. I'm drinking a little fast today. I'm at beer number 3, and we're just 2 hours in the show. I'm too excited with the codes of the space station. Is there going to be a time for another decode? I don't think so, but where is it? Yeah, it's getting to the tail end here. It's now over the Atlantic Ocean, just off the coast of North America, just below, you know, Newfoundland and in Nova Scotia and everything. Moving to the east now. So, wow, kind of nice. So this was the decode. The previous one, if we go to history, so this is the decode we have right now, and the decode that we had previously was this one. It's very beautiful. The first decode with a very low pass, 27 degrees, and you see the other one was in a pass of 60 degrees, which was not as good. Kind of interesting. So, but it did go up to S8, which is pretty crazy. Yes, David, don't worry. I do compensate for the Doppler shift, absolutely. You know, I used to have the ICOM plugged in with the serial cable, and have either Arbitron or the Ham Radio Deluxe software control it for the Doppler shift, which was kind of cool. So kind of nice. Casper Peterson is, what is the best antenna for long distance FM radio signals? I moved out of the city and missed the local stations. I live about 83 kilometers away from city. You would be surprised, but TV antennas, the old TV antennas that we used to have, are actually quite good for FM signals also. Apart from that, maybe a directional FM antenna that would be pointed towards the direction of you know, a major city or wherever the signals come from in your area. But you know what, you'd be surprised at these old TV antennas, what they can receive from FM. Andrew Baninsky, nice to have you here. Newcomer to shortwave listening, just thought I'd listen in, but I'm still trying to work out what you're actually doing. Looks very interesting. So this was not actually shortwave. We were digressing a little bit from the shortwave hobby. So the International Space Station this week is sending out slow scan TV pictures. Now that is part of shortwave because you can receive slow scan TV pictures on the amateur radio band. For example, 14300 or around that 20 meter frequency is one of the frequencies used. But this is the International Space Station orbiting Earth, and as it's passing over Montreal, I was decoding some of its signals and sending out pictures like this. So it's kind of cool. And that's pretty much what we're doing. So we were tracking the International Space Station. It was broadcasting on the VHF range. So that's way above shortwave. And this is 145.800 was the frequency we were listening to. But there are some slow scan TV transmissions and pictures from amateur radar operators in the shortwave bands. Also, it's part of, you know, having fun with radio and decoding all sorts of signals. Sounds like my first login to the internet in 1998. My first login to, you know, that sounds actually modern for me for my first login to, not the internet, but what was bulletin board systems. Before the internet, guys, there was something called BBS. That's where I started in the 80s. And I remember the first time I did login was a 300 baud modem. You could actually yawn and look somewhere else before you could look at your screen and know what the text was about because it was so slow. But the first time that I did log in was a 300 baud modem, which was crazy. But it's so cool at the time, you know. It was new. It was totally new. On my Commodore 128 computer. And then I bought it really fast. 1200 baud modem. Now that was fast. And of course, continued. I had a 2400, then upgraded to the 24, went to 14.4. I had a 14.4 US robotics. Then I moved to 28.8. And finally 56K. Before it eventually, some company had what we called high-speed internet, which was 1 megabits per second. And I still remember being on the list in probably like 1997, 98. Somewhere around there. I was on the list waiting for a broadband internet service. And then I got an email one day and said, hey, high-speed internet is on your street. 1 megabits per second. If you count the fact that today I'm doing live streaming of HD video on the internet with YouTube, and that I am connected to a 120 megabits per second connection, things have changed since then. Yeah, it's still a great capture, Bobby Burgess, absolutely. And yeah, when it was at the peak on my meter here, it was S8, which is a pretty good signal, I gotta say. Pretty crazy, pretty crazy. What else do we have? What else do we have? Let's go down slowly. Hey, greetings from Slovakia. Nice to have you here. Of course, OM70HU. JD Williamson says you're not the only one drinking fast today. I'm drinking faster than usual. I will be a little tipsy soon. Reminds me of the ZX Spectrum a little. Yeah, kind of. Any size of antenna. Well, there are some antennas made for FM signals. So, of course, anything that is a dipole or something that's really resonant to that frequency range will help you a lot more than just, any average antenna, honestly. Brian, Iowa, does the space station transmit 24/7 or just certain days? They are transmitting this week. I believe tomorrow, Saturday, is the last day they are doing this. So it's not all the time. You got to know when. You know what? It was totally by... Actually, it's funny because what happened is I was searching for satellite information. And I was looking at, can I find other satellite websites that might be cool to watch or have information. And I stumbled upon one from the UK. And it was like, I think it was AMSAT UK. And they had... The first thing I read was, hey, Slow Scan TV on April 11th. That day, I was like, really? SSTV? Nobody told me there was SSTV on this week. So I waited for the first pass over Montreal of this International Space Station. And yes, there was Slow Scan TV. I was like, oh, okay. Because the first thing, of course, is very simple. Is I never report on my YouTube channel of anything unless I verify it myself or can verify it with somebody that is knowledgeable, that I know is a good source. So, of course, the first thing I said was, I'm going to wait for me to receive it, because I don't want to believe anybody that I don't know of. And, yeah, there was a Slow Scan TV signal. And then I started reading more, and it's like, oh, until the 14th. And so, by the way, here's Mr. Paul the Cat. Paul the Cat is here. Hello there, Mr. Paul. Saying hello to everybody. So, he's the official mascot of the radio listening channel. So, anyways, they are on only at specific times. You got to know when they are on. We know now that this week they are on until tomorrow, but after tomorrow it's going to end. We don't know. You got to follow the different groups There's AMSAT, which is the amateur radio side of satellite listening and communications. And you just got to follow, because you never know, and we often don't know that far in advance when the International Space Station actually has any of these transmissions. So you got to follow them closely in order to know when. So there's a lot of noise, eh? So anyways, it's going on until tomorrow. If you guys want to try it out, 145.800 plus or minus Doppler. That means you gotta tune, if you can, tune a little bit up and follow the Doppler that goes down with all of that. And this is what's happening right now. Christian Ferland, hey, nice to have you on board as usual. Pretty cool. Eric V2MO has got a Jetstream JT B2V U vertical at 50 feet. Wow, that is probably better than me. Probably better than me. John McClure, nice to have you here. Andrew Badinsky is from Queen, Australia. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? What else do we have? Cosmic Lettuce, nice to have you here. Always nice to have everybody on board. What do I need to get this info? Well, there are some websites like the ANSAT website, and there's for space stuff like this is mostly ANSAT, which is the amateur radio side to everything that is satellite, and basically this is how you get a lot of this information. But you know, it's a learning curve, and that is indication for somebody else to close the door. So anyways, this is there's AMSAT, there's different things to that you can look at, different websites. There's a lot of information out there about satellites, listening satellites on the VHF, UHF. And now that Cat is gone, I'm going to stop having you watch my crotch. Sorry about that. So anyways, so it was nice, Cosmic Lettuce, to have you on board just to watch a little bit. You just missed the nice decode of the International Space Station SSTV. Pretty cool. Danny Shortwave Radio DX says, I have a Deathstream JTD2 discount antenna at 35 feet. Works very well for FM and scanner radios. Cool. Hey, fast load. Started on 302. Yeah, 300 was the first modem I had. Amazing. Did you try to decode, or you just arrived? The International Space Station was there just like 15 minutes ago. So take care, Radioactive. It was nice to have you on board. Cat BBS was great. Oh man, I was on my Commodore 128 when I started. Gopher, absolutely, Gopher. Yeah, Gopher. Oh man. Memories. The funny thing about BBS is I remember somebody telling me so I have somebody telling me, oh, there are BBSs apparently that you can actually, you know, call and go online. And I was like, oh really? But I don't have any numbers or anything. So I go to a store that was called at the time CompuCenter, and I go up to the guy and said, do you know of any numbers for BBSs around Montreal? He gave me 2 numbers. And you know, when you go on a BBS, they always have numbers for other things until you get that ultimate list of BBSs around your area, and you're like, okay, now I have a list of 400 BBSs around Montreal. And it was like, okay, it just went down, and were tons and tons of you know, of things. WRMI 7780. Let's go back to their shortwave hobby right now. 7780. It's that frequency is not good for me. Never. and it's still not good right now. 5850 has been the savior for me with receiving in the evening. Eric says there's at least 5 minutes delay from chat with Jill's video juggling from the clock and the ISS signal. Got to refresh. You have to refresh when you're too far away. Look at this clock all the time. If it's more than a minute away from what I'm doing, refresh. JD Williamson says my first internet was cable broadband 1990-2000. Factor megahertz got 1 gigabit per second. That's nice. That's nice internet. I remember when the and for those that wonder, I remember when you know, modems used to be intelligent. They had their own little CPU and everything, and you could actually send manual AT commands to you know, turn it on, dial, or do whatever. Until Win modems came along, and these were so crappy, especially on the PCs, that back then that was just crazy, disconnecting all the time. JB says early 90s Russian space station Mir via U2 Mir via 2-meter packet radio. Yeah, they had, Mir had amateur radio equipment. Absolutely, absolutely. I remember that. Matrix 54X. What kind of beer I'm drinking? I'm drinking a lot really fast, and it shows because I'm starting to get drunk a little bit. But it's don de Dieu, or gift from God, which is kind of a pretty strong beer made here in Quebec. Take care, Theodore Sears. It's always nice to have you on board. Wade Spencer. This bottle of Warsteiner Oktoberfest beer is the bomb. Well, salute to you also. It's nice to have everybody and shortwave lovers and listeners all around the world, and radio listeners. It's pretty cool. So, hey Adesh from Trinidad. Nice to have you on board from the Caribbean. It must be much warmer than here in Montreal, I can tell you that. Much, much, much warmer. Mick H says, back in the late 70s, I was running business systems, 1.2 kilobits per second. Ah, man, that's the old time. That's the old time. That's the old time. Yes, he is a beautiful cat. I love Paul. Hey, Dada Duden, nice to have you here. He is a happy cat, I can tell you that. Man. Jacob Felder says, I'm drinking Natty Daddy, an 8%, 99-cent, 25-ounce malt liquor. Really? They have that at 99 cents? We're living. There's nothing that cheap here because there's a minimum price on alcohol here where we live. Thanks, Casey Red Dragon, by the way, for sharing the n2yo.com space station /space station website for tracking the ISS. It's very, very nice. Yeah, David. No, that's why I wanted to explain, because there's somebody there. It's like, okay, can you just close the door now, because there's a lot of noise, and I don't want to have that much noise. Take care, MDK2. It's nice to have you on board as usual. Always nice. Todderbird, nice to have you here. Oh, my friend. Absolutely. It's always cool to have everybody here. Bobby Burgess got 7780, really strong. Cool. Walkerbach, 39, nice to have you here. Nice to have you on board, as usual. Yeah, ATDT, put your number here. Yeah. And what was the other one? There's ATDT if you had, there was one if you had touchstone, because back then not everybody had it, and some had the dial, the pulse dial thing. It was crazy. I remember being offended because the lady at the bell told me that I had to pay $2.95 for extra to have the extra dial with or the tones. Crazy. Yeah, Judd Simon, absolutely got to have a few of the exciting. It is exciting, and it's fun. You know what? What I like about this week is the fact that at least we've got, you know, something live happening that we've been able to decode while the show is going on, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So Jacob Felder is in South Carolina. Yeah, of course you can make your own alcohol. Marcel, I made one time we had some beet. Is it that beet? What do you call it? Betterave is, I believe, beet. The red thing. And I made beet wine by following instructions, which was actually very alcoholic because it didn't take a lot to be completely gone. What else do we have? Hey, Sherry K. Matthews from Mississauga, Ontario. Nice to have you here. BBSs were fun back in the 80s. Oh, ATDT for tone or ATDP for pulse. Yeah, oh man. I was wondering, I was trying to remember what's the and you know, at some point you were like, you know, I remember one BBS that I would go to was always busy, and I was at some point, instead of you know, firing up all the software, I would simply go in some terminal and type ATDT phone number, and when it was not busy, then I would fire up the software and make sure I would do ATDT all the time to keep it busy. Oh man. It would give me time to fire up the software and log in. Crazy. Well, I need to have a Grundig Satellite 700 to do a review of it. Unfortunately, I don't have one. If somebody wants to donate a Grundig Satellite 700, why not? But I would need to have one to do a review of it. Oh man. Yeah. If your modern was yeah. I remember that. Oh man. I remember that. Ah man. Does anyone recommend using an SDR Play on an Android device? Does the SDR Play work well on an Android device? That is the ultimate question. Does an SDR Play work well on an Android device, actually? That's pretty much the ultimate question here. Hey, you're watching the Shortwave show, which digresses slightly into the decoding of signals from the International Space Station, including some really beautiful slow scan TV pictures. But hey, how about we tune around a little bit? I feel a little tipsy right now. Let's tune around. So okay, let's go up. Let's go start from like what's the 20-meter band like? Any amateur radio station on 20-meter band tonight? Let's check it out. Okay, something here. Anything here? Let's check it out. So there's something on 14300. I'm hearing amateur radio station. Okay, 14300. There's something here.
Go ahead.
Jacob Felder. Well, that's a good question. Shortwave for beginners. Did I make only 2 Shortwave for beginners series? That's a good question. I'm not sure. Let me just check it out here. I'm going to my channel and I will search for Shortwave for beginners and let you know in a few seconds. I do get some people telling me that they would like me to do more of that series. and maybe do a refresh, you know, like a restart from scratch. So okay, if I go here and I look at sorry guys, beginners. So I have part 1, part 2. Yeah, there's an ultimate other series that is part 5, part 4. if you go on the channel and search for beginners, just type beginner. There's the series part 1, part 2, shortwave radio receivers, and the part 1. There's one that is USB single sideband, upper lower sideband. Another one about where to get shortwave schedules. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna I need to do I need to do more. Especially the fact that my beginner series has almost every video has more than 20,000 views, which is pretty cool. I probably need to do more of those, absolutely. I get a lot of people saying, hey man, I want you to continue. I want you to really do a lot of these videos for beginners because they're so great. And I gotta say, I would need to do so. Voice of Korea been propagating to USA on 13760 lately, says Richard. Huh, interesting. At what time? Do you know what time was the prime of 13760? I haven't heard North Korea in a while. Some PSK on 14070, yeah, probably. 14070. That usually is the frequency for some PSK. Let's just, there's another pass of the International Space Station, but I'll keep this on just in case. We never know how long my shows are, you know, last, so we'll keep it alive just in case. I'm not hearing anything right now, which is surprising. Look at how popular FT8 has been. FT8 is extremely popular. It's kind of replaced all the digital modes. Everybody goes in FT8 mode right now. It is a great mode for, you know, for DXing, but David Arden says 55 likes. Where is everyone else? Yep, absolutely. But you know, I would need to do a little more. Absolutely. Andrew Badinsky says, can I just ask a question off topic? I recently got first radio being a Sangean ATS-99X and have made a simple outdoor antenna. I'm picking up to 16,000 kilometers away. Yes. It's if you're picking up stations that are 14,000 kilometers away, it is great. It's great. You know, if a lot of people complain more of, I can't even listen to, you know, my next door neighbor's washing machine. I'm joking here, but a lot of people don't hear a lot. If you've heard stations from that far away, it's cool. It's cool. Walkabout 9 says, yes, I was watching those beginner videos. You know, they're very popular. I probably need to do kind of a series. Actually, somebody earlier today told me, why don't you do a beginner series on the VHF UHF channel too? And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I never thought about that. You know, sometimes it's funny because when you do things like shows all the time, there are moments where you don't, for some reason, you just don't think past a certain level, and people tell you, why didn't you do a video on this? And I'm like, why didn't I do a video on that? You're absolutely right. And sometimes it's that's why suggestions are cool, because sometimes I don't know why, you just don't think about it. And then somebody tells you, hey, why didn't you do that series on whatever? And you're like, huh, why didn't I do that? So you know, I think it's time, probably, and those are a little older now. Maybe it's time to kind of do a series, a new series of that. I need to take that in consideration here. You know, lately I've been kind of wondering what type of videos I should do on the channel, and maybe it's time to kind of do that a little more, you know. So you know, I'll be checking that out for sure. I'll be checking that out for sure. I can tell you that. Yes, my channel is a complete instruction of shortwave radio. You are right on that, J.D. Williamson. If you look at everything, it's I mean, it's crazy. You know, there's a lot of videos to help out. You know, I should take the time to do like playlists of what's beginner, what's, you know, helpful videos of every kind. I get almost every day an email from an amateur radio operator that just got on the air and just wants to say, hey, you know what? Thank you very much. I was studying to be a ham, and thanks to your video on what is upper-lower sideband, thanks to your video on the different amateur radio bands, I understood things I did not understand while I was actually studying. And which is nice to know. At the same time, it's telling me I should really become a ham, because I mean, when amateur radio operators are telling you you help them out understand things, maybe I should have my ham call sign, but that's another story. But you know, it's crazy. Hey Fabrice, take care. Always nice to have you on board. So pretty crazy here. Take care, P1SBM. Alex, take care. Always nice to have you on board too. Take care, Scott Collier. Nice to have you here. And always nice. Tornadoes and hail. Wow. Stay safe, Scott. Please stay safe. Hey, Keegan. Exiting the extra. Nice to have you on board. 66, 67 Fahrenheit in rain. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, not cool that it's raining, but pretty cool to have everybody here, as usual. So, anything else? Okay, let's tune around the bands a little bit. Let's go down and see the signals that we can hear tonight. So, what about a 22-meter band? There's something here which is some kind of weird tone. Anything else there? There's a signal on 13845, very weak signal there. So we're going to go down slowly. I got all these beautiful lines of interference and harmonics of every kind everywhere, which is always driving me crazy. Standing on 13032, 31. Let's, for the sake of it, just try to decode that one, see if there's anything. So let's get the multi-PSK software running. And yeah. So how about that Stanag? Professional modes, 435, 4285, anything here? Anything decoding here? Nope. Nothing much. What else do we have? Let's go down. Let's go down. Nothing there. Let's look at the signals here and see what's on the bands. Oh, we got this weird tone thing on 12,000 kilohertz. So 12050 is WEWM. In Spanish. Yeah, you know, David, Barcelona, absolutely. Keegan says tornado activity in western Arkansas earlier. Weather mentioned on CBS. Wow. You guys are in the that area. That's crazy for that. Yes, I do need to get my hand license. I want to get on the HF bands and talk over the world. Right? That's what I need to do. Take care, Dr. Megahertz. Well, I hope you enjoyed your listening experience and your show experience, and hope you're back next Friday, 2000 hours UTC. We'll be here once again talking about radio. So hope you guys continue tuning in. No show tomorrow, by the way, for those that wonder. And Andrew Badinsky says, I should thank you for all your videos. Have watched many and found them very informative and helpful. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. And I'm here for that. That's the reason that I started this channel. Try to help out. You know what? It's funny because yesterday evening, while I was listening to the International Space Station, of course, I started tuning the 2-meter amateur radio band and listening for local AMs and seeing what's the conversation, you know. And I stumbled upon there was a repeater where they had a net, and people were talking about the International Space Station signals. And apart from the fact that, okay, let's put things straight. You know what? Not everybody, you know, it's not because you're an amateur radio operator that you have to know about space, and that I totally understand. But when I was listening in, one ham came on the net, said, hey, in 5 minutes, International Space Station is going to be there, and you know, it's going to transmit on 145-800. You might decode a single a slow scan TV signal. And I started listening to the comments, and it's sad because I don't know, it's because maybe I'm too advanced for that. I don't know. I don't know how to say it as not to offend anybody, but I found that the conversation level of technology for what was about radio signals was very basic. And when I say basic, is for me too basic to actually have an amateur radio license. And I don't know, it's maybe it's me because, you know, there's a debate going on for a long time about amateur radio operators. You know, when Morse code got away, they took it away of the exams, and the old ham said, well, we passed the Morse code thing and we had to do it. Why are you taking it away and the newcomers don't have to do it? Look, I am open to one thing. Times are changing, and we got to go with the times. I mean, Morse code is not as important as it used to be. And you know what? Somebody told me the other day, yeah, but you know, Morse code and human ear. No, I'm sorry. I'm a tech guy. I can tell you one thing. FT8 or JT65 with a computer is much more capable of communications than Morse code and the human ear. That said, in an environment where computers do not exist, yes, Morse code is the mode for listening to very weak signals and that noise. Our brain is capable of listening to something. It's impressive what the brain can do. That said, I don't want to have Morse code go totally away, but we got to admit that technology is advancing, and you know, JT65 does a better job at listening to noise and saying, hey, there's a signal in there. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm amazed at just what that technology can do. FT8, even faster. And I mean, sometimes you don't even hear a signal, and it shows up on your screen. It's like, oh yeah, I'm there. I'm here. But I don't know, maybe it's just me. And you know, when we have been in a hobby for a long time, I'm here for, you know, beginners. I see all of you guys right now telling me, you know, what you do is amazing and you've helped me understand whatever. And we have all been there. I mean, I've been there at I didn't know nothing. I've been there, I don't understand the hell of what I'm doing. I'm just doing around. But somehow, for me, there's a minimum requirement of amateur radio that when I see some hams talk on the air, I somehow kind of cringe and say, aren't you an amateur radio operator? Shouldn't you know that? I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I just too advanced, or am I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm too much into the radio hobby now, and I just can't see the light for what it is. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. I can tell you that. Jacob Felder says, also me, these videos are awesome, being new and helping greatly. Didn't mean to undermine you know, don't worry about it. It's nice that you ask the questions and everything, because sometimes even I get a little lost. Music on 11860. What's on 11860? Do I have any signal there? I have a signal on 11195, which I believe is Saudi Arabia. And let's move this a little further there. Okay. 11860. There we go. I got that on the 60. That sounds like Radio Havana, Cuba, honestly. We're at 2247. That sounds like Radio Havana, Cuba. Well, it's not on the list anywhere. And there's another station here called Radio Aparecida, but that didn't sound like, yeah, no. It's, I don't know. But it sounds like Cuba. Honestly, that sounds like Cuba. I would say this is Cuba. Honestly. I think this is Cuba. Yeah, here we go. Radio Havana, Cuba. We just got our answer there.
Desde el sitio www.radiohc.cu. César Portillo de la Luz y Leo Brauer, otro gran músico fundador de nuestra emisora, establecieron desde los orígenes de Radio Havana, Cuba, la política musical de nuestra emisora, que tiene entre sus fundamentos la afirmación del más universal de los cubanos, el apóstol José Martí, quien nos dijo que la música es la más bella forma de
Radio Havana, Cuba. It's not written on any list though, and it's a little distorted, but you know. What else do we have? What else do we have? Well, let's put it in context. Fastlow says basic equals boring. Basic is boring, yes, when we are at a certain level. Yes, absolutely. You know, it's like whatever conversation. You know, I can't stand, you know, I've been a tech guy for a long time. I cannot stand a basic conversation about computers. Or people just talking about their computer experiences. I rather go away and do something else. I can't stand it. Can't stand it. And I think Fastlow is the same, and the same conversation there. He and Fastlow never talk about computers, and he works in computers too. And we tend to go away from all the conversation about computers also. We tend to just like, forget it, I don't want to get involved in this. We got to remember there's always basic understanding of everything. We've been at, you know, Fastload, you've been there, not understanding whatever that was. You know, we've all been there. And we got to be careful, because we got to help those, and I think that's what I try to do here, help those that are, you know, at the basic level or starting up, and that's cool. I think my comment is more on when you are a amateur radio operator, can you just be a little more knowledgeable? I don't know. Maybe it's me. Jacob Felder says, I'll just go back. I've actually been amazed by the older guys in their 60s, 70s, and 80s that are very proficient in technology, some more than me being 21 years of age. You know, old hams, not all of them, but a lot of old hams are really, really knowledgeable about the hobby. We can't all be knowledgeable about things all the time. I mean, we all start somewhere. I mean, that's why schools exist. We all start from zero, and we need somebody to tell us, you know, how things work. Yep, Greece on 94.20 with some music. And the interval signal of Voice of Turkey on 98.30. Very strong tonight. Propagation is not bad. 98.30, Voice of Turkey is very strong tonight. So, you know, you got to find out things. Here I'm ranting a little bit about amateur radio operators because they need to pass an exam. And that's what I mean here, okay? I don't talk about, you know, the basic shortwave listener that doesn't understand, or there's no course, and you don't have to pass an exam to be a radio listener. But you have to pass an exam to be a amateur radio operator. And that's where I'm kind of sometimes wonder, because you pass an exam, you should have a minimum of knowledge of technology. Yet when I listen to you, I have the impression I'm listening to a CBer that has no knowledge at all of what the hell he's doing. And maybe that's where my rant is, you know. Yeah, freeware, absolutely, Mark Brando. Multi-PSK, there's a freeware and the paid version. The paid version, the difference with the paid version, by the way, from multi-PSK, is that it gives you, so for example here, 5 minutes of non-licensed version in the professional modes. So if you use professional modes, you got 5 minutes in these modes. The rest of the modes are free. So the free version, you just, you know, listen to whatever mode you want except professional, that are 5 minutes, limited to 5 minutes. If you want more than 5 minutes in professional, but I'm running the free version. I haven't paid for multi-PSK. Maybe I should, you know, I do these live shows, and sometimes I think I should pay for some stuff because of what I do. Okay? Maybe I should pay. Jacob Felder said, okay, Judge Simon, I've heard a few unadvanced amateurs discussing basics, but when you get into the general and amateur expert classes, the conversations get better. 2 meter is occupied by text quite often. Yeah, I know, I understand. I understand. Jacob Felder says, so excited I'll be trying for my technician in coming days, but still amazed by the older guys when I look. Yeah, you know, I wish you all the good luck. I can tell you that. Gary Golin says, got the same 11860. Vianney Arsenault says, I have bass license with 5 words a minute, CW Morse, but I practically never use CW. It's a communication mode. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, SDR stuff in the USA. Nice to have you here. But nice to be... Would be nice to know where in the USA. You know, it's like saying, hey, I'm Canada. I'm in Canada. Find me. I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. You know, that's it. Excellent answer, Keegan. 11780 signal S5. It's still on. Is it Brazil? 780. Yeah, Brazil. Pretty good signal. Brazil, 11780.
O deputado destaca a oportunidade de conhecer as novas tecnologias e produtos apresentados para o setor pesqueiro. Em nome da Frente Parlamentar do Café, Carlos Menes, do Democratas de Minas Gerais, informa que vai apresentar um requerimento para o Ministério da Agricultura, cobrando explicações sobre a fixação do preço mínimo do café para a safra 2017-2018. O parlamentar lamenta a falta de políticas para o grão. Ele ressalta a importância do produto para a economia.
So Radio Amazonas or Radio Nacional Amazonas from Brazil on Portuguese, 11780. Good signal tonight. Good signal tonight. Richard Coy's listening to some music on 9640. 9640, let's check it out. 9640. Not much here. There's a signal, but it's very weak. Very weak. Yeah, same here. Keegan. I'm pretty much like Keegan. Nothing much except noise. Yeah, 9565 is Radio Marti. So you might hear Radio Marti or jamming. This is Cuban jamming. Look at that. 9565. Great example of Cuban jamming. Oh, that is true, Moria 330. You're totally right. Some people memorize more than learn. And one of the things about amateur radio exams, by the way, is that if you have a good memory, you can learn the answers to the exam much more than you understand them. And that is true. And that maybe makes the difference between an amateur radio operator. You know, when I went to the Industry Canada website to pass the exam, they have an exam there that you can actually try. And I had like 85% score. My logic was behind my knowledge, not behind my memory of things. That said, I have a tremendous memory. That's why it helped me a lot in life, in everything that I do. But you know, it's interesting. Well, okay. You know what? If you want to do that fast load, we will pass the exams ourselves, and we will educate the hams. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's just that it's so funny to, and maybe I shouldn't find it, you know, that weird. But so many times I get hams telling them that I educate them about their hobby when I'm not even a ham. You know, kind of wow, you know. But you know, but you know what, Fastload, we should pass our exam. Let's maybe it's a goal we should set ourselves, Fastload. If you want, we'll set ourselves a goal and you know, pass the exam. We'll get our license. We'll get some cheap transceivers somewhere, and we'll be on the HF band and do tests and do all sorts of things. Why not? Why not? It could be a lot of fun, honestly. J.D. Williamson says, I hear you. You'll always lose some info from your exam, but some seem to have bought their license. Yeah, I think that's the memory thing. That's what Moria 330 says. Somebody memorized rather than learned. You know, it's a very interesting thing here that we bring up. Memorizing rather than learning is a very, very interesting aspect here. We gotta think about that. Hey, the International Space Station is coming for another pass. You guys want me to continue until we get the ISS again on 145-800? You guys decide. You guys decide. I continue until the ISS comes back or not. So, what's the vote? And I'm going to drink my fourth beer and I'm going to be like more drunk. More drunk. And it's okay. I'm having fun anyways. And it's a nice conversation actually about amateur radio stuff and everything, you know. I think it's interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Honestly. A conversation. No problem, XNADXer. Bill K3WDR says line gripe is 2 meter HF. 2 meter seems more, yeah, HF seems more disciplined. Yeah. Yeah, probably, because most of what we hear on HF, I don't know, yes, it is more disciplined. 2 meter is, and I don't want to take, and let's just be very, very fair here, by the way. Because yesterday I was listening, and I mean 2 meter was very disciplined. What I heard was very amateur, professionally like on the bands, and I just want to stress out that I'm not ranting or talking about, you know, everybody should be a professional, because that's not what I mean. There are people that, you know, I mean, there's shortwave listeners that will listen to their favorite stations and never really understand the why of this works. I don't want every shortwave listener to be an expert in propagation and whatever. I am the kind of guy that wants to learn a hobby to the point where you understand things. It's a very different thing. I'm the kind of guy that does that. Fast load, I'm not fast load enough, for one thing, is that guy is pretty much like me. You want to not just look at something. You want to, why does that do this? And understand why behind the scenes, all of the why it's happening. Fastload maybe a little more than me. He's probably deeper into the why than I am. So there's different levels of why this works, and want to know why this works. So I understand and I respect that you will have an ham license with a very basic knowledge of amateur radio. Like I respect, there will be shortwave listeners that will be, I listen to CRI, and as long as I punch in that frequency and it's there, that's all I want. And it's okay, it's okay. The hobby is for everyone. My rant is probably coming because you don't need a license to be a shortwave listener. So being just a CRI listener, fine. But there needs a license to be a ham radio operator, and that's where I sometimes just cringe a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, 414. That's it's funny you say that, Fastload, because that's the frequency I was listening to yesterday. 147.015. Yeah. Yeah, Bill K3WDR has kind of a perfect phrase. License to learn. That's the perfect phrasing of getting a license. License to learn. You know. Now, once again, who am I to rant about this? I don't even have my M license. So, technically, I should not be ranting about this because I'm not a ham radio operator. You know? Yeah, you know. It's just, you know, it's just, yeah. No problem, Cosmic Lettuce. Just crazy. I like the yes, 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 yes! Oh, man. Hey, Ernie Turner. Good morning. Nice to have you on board. And, absolutely, if you get your AM license, I do believe anything that is related to AM license, the learning never stops. I mean, even the most advanced amateur radio operator is not somebody that knows it all. There's always an aspect of this. It's a science. There's a science, honestly, behind all of this, and nobody knows all of it. We still know nothing about a lot of the aspects of propagation and radio waves and all the weird things that go with it. Honestly, it's just crazy. Moria 330 says, I find that some HF voice usage for a tech level is a good thing for giving exposure to the HF bands and the general and extra levels. So, yes, I do need to get one. Absolutely. You are right. Everybody's right on that. I need to get my license. Absolutely. Absolutely. Caribe Turf, what about learning CW? I would not have any problem in learning it. I do have a basic. If you look at some of my videos on YouTube, I just by ear can tell you the call sign of maritime stations, or oh, that's 4XZ in Israel. Somebody the other day said, how do you know? You didn't check. I did not need to check. I actually know what 4XZ Morse code sounds like in my ear. So, kind of. But, hey, try it out. Even if it's 6 degrees, Bobby. You never know. I do have a better shot, yes. But try it out, 6 degrees. You never, sometimes. You know what? I didn't think that the 27 degrees pass earlier was actually a good one, and I had the best decode ever. So it's coming up, and we'll, yeah, you know what? Look at that. It's over just like, what is that? Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and all of that in the Pacific Ocean. It's coming up. So in about, I don't know, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I'm going to be here. So we're going to, and that pass is the south. That pass is south of me. And we're going to see if south is as good as north. Because it's about the same distance south in elevation as it was north, the first one that I did the code. It's going to be interesting to look at. So we're going to stay here and tune that out for sure. Hi, you're watching the Shortwave show that is digressing into also VHF, UHF stuff. And by the way, if you want to help me out, don't forget, paypal.me/shortwave. It's a great place to be. And you can send me a little donation, help me out. Say, hey, I love your shows, I love what you do, here's my contribution. Patreon.com/radio and computers. You can be there, give me a little something every month, like 10 patrons right now that are giving you something. And don't forget, never take for granted live shows that you enjoy, content on the internet that you find really cool, because behind that, somebody's working hard to bring it up to you. I mean, it sounds simple, and it is relatively easy, but I gotta tell you one thing. Talking for 3 hours or 4 hours at a time is, you gotta do it. You gotta try it out. I'd like to see anybody like just sit down in a chair and say, hey, I'm gonna talk about shortwave for 3 hours today and see how it goes. It's surprising how it's more difficult than it sounds. But you know what? And there's a lot of things. This is like I mean, I love doing this. There are days that you feel like, I don't want to be here today, but it's my job. Got to be there. We're all there at our jobs. And never take for granted all of this happening. Because, I mean, somebody out there is working hard to bring you the content. And you got to think about that. Because, one day might not be there. I always want to say that this is kind of a big part of my job. It's my revenue. So not just the donations, but live shows, YouTube, and everything. If you enjoy what you see, if you enjoy the shows, don't hesitate. And thanks for those that donated. And don't worry, those that you can't, I totally understand. And let's hope that I don't have to throw out a idiot like last week. And that's enough. Okay, what else is there? F. Blancy, nice to have you here from Oakland, California. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Nice to have you on board. Richard Cook says 9665, very weak at the moment. Either Pyongyang or Brazil, not sure. You can, you know what? 9665, you actually can see if it's Brazil. If you put it yourself in upper sideband, they are a little off. They're like 9664.9 or something. So I hear very weak Brazil here. I hear a very weak Brazil here. Because Brazil's a little bit off on 9665. It's like 9664.89. Somewhere around there. Can tell you that. So, take care, J.D. Williamson. And I am tipsy. And I do understand. Take care, my friend. Next week, Friday, 2000 hours UTC is the next one. And but it's I'm about to open beer number. Wow. Okay, I'm drinking a little fast here. Gotta. Eric VA2MO says you are right about the comparison of so if I compare AM radio and CB, at least on the local level, 2 meters, and on HF on 80, but I just turned it on. I don't mix with that kind of crowd. That's what you gotta do. Yeah. Maybe I'm too harsh. Maybe I'm too harsh because, I mean, if it would be too complicated, and let's face it, there's different levels of learning. And let's face it, if it gets too hard, there's a lot of new hams that will never be hams. And that, I don't want that. I don't want that, So, kind of interesting here. Cariber Turf, am I new? I'm new here. What do you use with HD SDR RSP1A? No, I've got a Fedri, AFEDRI, which is a long wave, medium wave, short wave receiver. Little box that's back here behind me, plugged into a sloper antenna in my backyard. 22 meter long sloper antenna. So, but the RSP1A is or 2 seems to be amazingly good devices for use with for software-defined receivers. Absolutely. And by the way, for those that wonder, I'm the shortwave guy. We are here every Fridays, 2000 hours universal time, and we talk about radio of every kind. Tonight we're digressing. There's shortwave stuff, but there's also we're tuning in the International Space Station for slow scan TV signals. What's on this frequency? I'm just curious. So this is 9420 is Greece. That's noise, but Greece with some music. 9420. Let's go down a little bit. I'm gonna tune up from 5 megahertz and see what's up. So, what do we have here? This is WBCQ. Hey, it's the Moaning Sessions. The Moaning Sections. That in, meowing, not meowing, but like moaning cows is like same thing. Same thing. Crazy. Crazy. I can just, you know, oh man. I gotta say. Man. So, okay, what else? I am getting drunk tonight. So, let's tune around. Moaning. Oh. I'm laughing my head off, I'm sorry. Oh god. I should not be laughing at these poor souls that are just ignorant and caught in the path of that idiot that is Brother Stare. Okay, what else is there here? 5216. 247. Anything interesting in here? Radio teletype on 5338. Some FT8 on 5357. Royal Air Force from the UK, pretty good, 5450. Vomit. Yeah, he must be jammed. Absolutely, Bobby. Absolutely.
10 kilometers on Earth, cloud to 2,000 feet, gas is 4,000 feet, temperature 12, dew point 10, QNH 1014. Spectrum alarm, no information available.
That sounds like in our radio teletype in, you know when they have their like pause mode where there's like nothing, or they send like the RY all the time. 5477. Anything I can decode in here? What does it look like? It's almost like Navtex. I don't know. This is weird. It's like our radio teletype signal that's just in pause mode. What is there here? Aeronautical communications, 5616 probably. Yeah, screaming preacher is quite funny also, Richard. I remember the first time I heard the screaming preacher, I did a recording, and one of my friends, I made him listen to it, and I was like, look, I received that on shortwave, and we started laughing our head off, and we couldn't stop. So, 5616, I believe, is Gander, Aeronautical Communications. And what are you guys listening to tonight?
Calling Gander? Are you calling Gander Radio?
Okay. What's that here? Well, 551. What is that? 5520, I think.
Okay, Austrian 908. Matter of fact, you can change over now. Frequency 8906.
Take care, Fastload. Oh, no, Fastload's not going. Take care, Adesh. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Always nice to have you on board. What frequency are you hearing CHU on Moria 330? Richard Cook's got CHU on 7850. I usually have it at this time on 3330. Very weak tonight. I usually have it better than that. 7850, I don't think so. Yep. Let's continue tuning around. 5850 WRMI. 6000. Radio event in Cuba in Spanish on 6,000 kilohertz. CRI really strong at 6175. You deserve what you're getting, you just said. Okay, 3330. You're getting, yeah. If it's, yep, you know, it's just crazy. What else is there in here? Let's check out this signal. Stanag. Radio teletype. Any pirates tonight? Let's check out pirates. Any pirates? Nothing much right now. Nothing much right now. Here. Radio teletype. Anything in a 40-meter band of interest? FT8, absolutely an amazing popular band. Yeah, it's true, David Arden. I didn't think about that, but Friday the 13th, there must be some pirates on, absolutely. David says Brother Stairs moaning can be heard even in Barcelona. Imagine paying a high price for a shortwave transmitter just to have moaning going on. I mean, we don't even understand what that is. There's just moaning. Moaning and moaning all the time. So International Space Station, oh, slowly coming towards the west coast of North America. And so we're soon to do another try at decoding the International Space Station. How's the time signal station, Richard? Okay, let's check it out. Let's start with Just Simon says, I thought it was a pirate station all that morning. It almost sounds like one. And even with 5130, which is not a usual frequency, you know, it's like, what is that? So, okay, let's try 20 megahertz. We'll go to WWV frequencies first. 20 megahertz. Nothing. 15. 15. Got WWV. 10. WWV weaker, but it's there. 5,000. WWV usually comes in kind of later at night. Let's try CHU 3330. It's there, but it's weaker than usual. 7850. 14670. Now let's try RWM 4996. Nothing there. 9996. Nothing there. And even on 10, Sorry, guys. Apart from WWV, I don't hear anything else, so pretty much the local ones coming in right now. Just Simon says 3330, best for him. Richard in Atlanta's got 4XZ on 6606. Let's try it out. And I believe it's 6607 CW. Yeah. Wow, it's really strong tonight. 4XZ is the maritime station from Israel, by the way. This is from Israel. Let's try to decode it in CW mode. Let me just configure something here. It's not receiving. This is not off of. Something is weird here. Sound card. Nope. This is weird. Oh, the other port's not. Oh, okay. I'm using it with another software. That's one. Okay. Let's close this for a second. So I'm using the mappings of the audio from with another source. Let's go back here and see if we can hear anything. Let's close it. Yep. Yep. And turn it on again. Okay, configure, sound card, port audio. What the hell is happening? I don't know. Anyways. That's 4XZ from Israel. Very strong tonight. I'm amazed. I've rarely heard it that strong, actually. So it's just saying... VVV, we're here, 4XZ, 6606 upper sideband or 6607 CW mode, for those that want. Really. Pretty amazing. David says in Barcelona, I wonder if the simply left a microphone in a cowshed and is trolling all of us. That sounds pretty much like it. Honestly, it sounds like that. I don't see any difference. Is the stream okay, guys? Because I've got some weird readings from my my laptop here that's saying that there's loss of packets. Is the stream okay? Just let me know. And I see that the indicator here has become yellow instead of green. So I just want to make sure that everything's alright. Let me know, guys. So 4XZ, and by the way, for those that wonder, 4XZ is a maritime station, but sometimes they start sending out these 5-letter groups, and what we think is that 4XZ, which is supposed to be maritime station, is also possibly Israeli intelligence 5-letter group secret messages that we're sending out. Okay, thanks Maria, 330. Seems fine. Cool. Cool. Pretty cool though. Let's get SSTV out again. And where is the International Space Station? It's just across it's British Columbia area. TOT 6607 CW or 6606 upper sideband if you don't have CW mode. Okay, thanks for confirming it's okay, my friends. So that's a mix of that station is a mix really of maritime and Israeli intelligence. They send 5-letter. The other day it was like what 2 or 3 weeks ago. I heard the 5-letter groups. They were saying 5-letter groups, and after about 20 minutes, they came back to that 4XZ. Because what they're doing is VVV, which means we're here, we're listening to from 4XZ in Israel. So what you're listening to when you hear this is actually a signal coming from near Jerusalem, Israel, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool. So, cool, Danny Shortwave. Had a beer run. Cool. So, 4XZ 6607 CW. This is from Israel. Now, we're almost at the International Space Station. Third decode for tonight. That's kind of cool. We're at 3 hours and 33 minutes into the show. 31 minutes, sorry. Oh, that's 31. That's 33. It's 31? 31. The right time is 31. And hope that you enjoy our show tonight. And this is the International Space Station coming for a pass over Montreal, just south. And we're going to use good old ICOM ICR 8500 here. And listen in to, oh, maybe that's why, because I didn't actually shut the squelch. I don't know. Anyways, so we're soon to decode a slow scan TV signal again. Mickey Delmage in Alberta is catching it right now, and of course, it's pretty close to your area, Mickey. Pretty good there. It's not that far. It's practically over Alberta. Of course, you probably are south, a little southern than that, but it's close to your area, Mickey. And do you have any software decoding right now? The image? XNEDXer? Hey, Keegan, back. Welcome back. We're here. First of all, let's welcome our new member of moderator, TOT. You're a moderator tonight. Welcome aboard. And if you want to track the International Space Station, Theo, I'm going to share with you a little something. Space Station tracking. N2YO is a great website for tracking any satellite, by the way. And this is tracking International Space Station. I believe this does it. Here we go. This does it. Copy. Or else you can install a piece of software. And so welcome aboard. Here we go. Here you will have tracking on the web of the International Space Station. Okay, no decoding. Okay. Well, you've been on for a while, Theo. And Jacob Felder, to become moderator, you need to learn. You need to earn trust. So I need to trust you. I need to know you're a good guy. And for that, you got to be here regularly. You got to participate regularly. You got to just have fun with us. And you know what? At some point, you are going to be a moderator. Okay? Thomas Stainer. Hey there. Nice to have you here. And here's the International Space Station coming by. Let's try to tune in. I hear the SSTV signal already. Look at that. It's weak, but it's there, but it's going to get better probably. So 145-800 plus or minus Doppler. So all you got to do, Jacob Felder, is be here regularly, participate, have fun with us, and you know what? At some point, you'll be a moderator. Like Theo. that is now a new moderator on the live show. So signal is very weak right now, but we'll try to get something better, hopefully. And as it is right now coming slowly for the pass, it's gonna get closer and closer. It's just west of the Great Lakes, actually, on the map. So let's cross our fingers to have an amazing decode of a signal. And it's going to be interesting, you know what? Because we had a great decode when it was low in the north. Less of a good decode as it was closer from the north. And now it's kind of a low pass on the south. The actual height of the pass here is going to be at this pass. This is the last pass of the evening. 23 degrees lower than it was when it was north. So 23 degrees is the maximum height here. And then the pass is going to be tomorrow. Getting the last bits. So I just got the last bits, and we're going to try now for the next picture. The next picture. For Slow Scan TV, Marcel, for Slow Scan TV in Windows, it's MMSSTV. MM, which is Mexico, SSTV for Windows. But you can try Robot 36 on Android also. Vianney says, really strong signal here from ISS. I have all what I need to decode, but unfortunately not installed for now. Well, in the next few days for sure. Well, don't wait too much, Vianney, because tomorrow's the last day. After tomorrow, I think there's no more Slow Scan TV. TOT, if I may ask you, the website is not working for me. You can click on the link and confirm. Thanks, Joe. You know what? Go to n2yo.com. Okay, Nancy 2 Yankee Oscar.com and search for space station, and you will have the tracking there. That's an online website for tracking any satellite in orbit, and it works really, really well. Okay, thank you F. Blassie for the donations. Thank you Rolf Bender also for the donations, by the way, much appreciated. Thank you, Gary Golin. Nice to have you here. VA2 EIV Robert. Ben, merci beaucoup. Always nice to be on board. Merci de suivre mes émissions. Okay, cool, TOT. Nice to have you here. And welcome aboard the moderator status. So, the International Space Station is going. Here we go. Hate it when there's deep fades. Wow, really deep fade on this one. 800. 145,800, Theo. So the south pass is not as good as the north one. So you see that their antenna pattern is not the same. Mark Brando's got 145,800 in Wisconsin. Cool. So when it's north of me, is actually a better signal for me than when it's south. Look at that. I got the first part, nothing else. Still cool. It's still cool. It's sad that it didn't continue as good as it was at the beginning. The beginning was amazingly good. So I got a poor image here. So tonight, if we resume, I got in my history this image right now, and I got that image on the last pass, which is better. But the first one we had tonight, this one, was amazingly cool. This is the first one I got at when we started the show, and that was 27 degrees elevation, and it passed north of me. Look how beautiful that one is. So the passes north of me are better than the ones that are south. That's pretty much what we see tonight, and it probably has to do with the polarization of the antenna, honestly. So oh, absolutely, Cosmic Lettuce. So if you listen in, by the way, it's plus or minus 4 or 5 kilohertz. So when it's actually arriving towards you, tune your receiver to 145.804 and slowly go down as the station is moving ahead. I'm lucky because on my ICOM here, the tune, there's a little tune display here in the LCD. And when I receive signals, it has an arrow on each side. So my ICOM tells me, oh, it's higher, you're too low. So I can actually adjust just following the indication of my ICOM, because it tells me if I'm below or above the frequency. And that is really cool for that. Apart from that, if you have a, you know, for a long time I was actually controlling my ICOM using my PC with Ham Radio Deluxe or even Arbitron. Arbitron, by the way, for those that don't know, can actually, if you have a receiver, a transceiver, a receiver, advanced transceiver that you can plug into your PC, Arbitron can actually control the Doppler shift of your radio automatically. You just need the proper cable to hook up to your radio, honestly. So, you know. David says, I think the station structure itself blocks the signal. Yeah, that is possible also. That we gotta understand is that even, you know, it's a big structure, it's a big metal structure. So yes, absolutely, it probably blocks partly. But the first one was amazing. The first one was amazing. You know, so what I understand is 30 degrees north of me is better. Yeah, fast load. I do have the cables, but you gave me the cable for the R20. I also have the cable for my 8500. Some of my videos actually show it being controlled by the software. You know, tonight we kind of understand in which position the International Space Station actually transmit better for me than others. Thomas Taylor, I'm using a mobile vertical, so it's really an antenna that's made for mobile use. It's a wideband antenna, 30 to 1300 megahertz, but it's on a metal shed, so it has the same characteristics because mobile antennas often use the metal top part of your car as basically a ground plane to make sure the antenna works well. I have a big metal shed in the backyard, so it's stuck on the metal shed. It has the same kind of ground plane, if you want. So it actually is amazing in performance for what it is, and it's amazing what I can do, honestly, with my radios with that. Really, really crazy. Really crazy. Yeah, fast load your PCR 1000. Oh, much better than the discount. I can tell you that, Fastload. Your discount was really... I don't know what they did with that thing, but it's a piece of junk. I can tell you that. And you know what, Fastload? What I'm sad because I bought that mobile antenna for 99 cents at Addison, which Fastload knows what's the store. And they had like 10 of them when I purchased it in 1995 or something like that. They just wanted to have all these things go out. I should have purchased all 10 of them. I mean, at 99 cents, that thing performs amazing for the price I paid, 99 cents. So, you know. David says, Arbitron can not only control radios by means of CAT interface, but it also can control antenna rotator systems, azimuth, elevation. It's a pretty powerful piece of software. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is amazing. An amazing piece of software. Like Am Radio Deluxe also. So, no, it's not even a specially designed or built antenna, Thomas, at all. It's just a vertical mobile, honestly. Very, very basic vertical mobile. So, hey guys, we've been on for 3 hours and 48 minutes. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Look, it's very nice to be here. Tomorrow, no shows. We'll be back next Friday, 2000 hours UTC. Don't forget, donations, if you can spare a few bucks. Only, you know, don't have to give a lot. Even $1 is enough. Stay safe, everybody. Love you all. Really, really found it cool tonight listening to the you know, international space stations and you know, shortwave signals, talking about radio in general. I think this is the fun thing about these shows. Hope you enjoy. You know, somebody told me the other day, it's like, oh, what do you decide when you stop or anything? It's like, you know what? Don't forget, I've been talking all the time. So at some point you get tired. You know, you get like, your brain gets into like a, and of course I drink beer, so all of that together makes it like, okay, you know, I got enough at some point, you know, and it's not because you don't like what you do, it's like, you got a time, got to say goodbye, and we're here every week anyway, so take care, everybody. Love you all. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Hope you enjoyed the shows that I do, the channel videos. Thank you for the great comments, guys. I always get a lot of great comments, and it feels good, you know, at least I'm here for something. So take care, everybody. Love you all. Stay safe, please. Want to be back soon. Next show, next Friday, April 20th, and we'll be live at 2000 hours Universal Time. So take care. Sorry about that, Thomas. Really sorry about that. I understand. Stay safe, 73, and listen to that radio. It's there for something. There's tons of signals out there that probably you never heard before. Bye.